You're listening to Metrotham Uncensored with host Justin Hodgkins. Listen to him ask hard-hitting questions while nerding out with his weekly guest. Metrotham Uncensored starts now.
Hey guys, welcome to the second recording of Metrotham Uncensored. Here's your host Justin Hodgkins. I have a very special guest with me today. Someone else who works highly in the con scene and someone who has, in some sorts, taken me under her wing in a lot of ways to kind of like teach me about the con line and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah. Glad to have you here, Kat.
Thank you.
What do you do for Metrotham?
I am the programming director and the volunteer coordinator, which means that all the cool events, which Mark, of course, helps with everything. Mark is amazing to have in charge of us. But I make sure that all the events are planned and all our volunteers are where they need to be and everybody's pulling their weight and fussing at leadership when they need to be fussed at.
Yeah, and it's from my understanding that Mark found you.
Kind of. I got a phone call when everything first started, and it was him and one other person. And they literally said, call this guy. Trust me, you want to be a part of it. I met him. I talked to him because I had quit all but one of the Chattanooga cons. I had actually retired from conventions, except for like 3. And I said, okay. And I didn't think much of it because I've heard the spills before. Gone through it all
We're
before.
different from others, stuff like that.
And, I helped one other local con get started and, it wasn't what I hoped it would be. There wasn't, I feel like, enough transparency and things like that involved. And I feel like you have to be transparent with something like this if you want it to succeed. So I met up with Mark and one other person, and I was like, you tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. And I will work as hard as you do. I won't work harder than you. It's your con.
Work just as hard as you.
You do your thing. And then he kept in contact with me, and he said he had coworkers he was bringing in. And so then I got to meet like Justin and Brian, and slowly we had a couple meetings. And I know a lot of people in the con in this area. So, I give my honest opinion and I tell him what my experiences are. And then you take it and do what you will. If, I'll give you all the advice you want, but if you don't follow it, that's your thing. I'm not going to be like, well, I told you, I'm like, well, now you have the experience. Now you know what works and what doesn't work. And that's the same with people, now you know who you can trust and who you can't trust. And now and you have to learn that. It's nice to have somebody there to be like, well, this is what happened when we did it years ago, but things change too.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first ones involved. But I kind of was very laid back. And then the more I saw Mark get excited about it and stay pumped about it, and the more he loved it, the harder I worked for it. So first year he was like, well, do kids for me, because nobody ever wants to do kids. So I did all the kids stuff. And I helped out with it, other stuff in between. And then we had an incident, and I took over in our panel room. Nobody knew an incident happened because we were such a great con. We had such a great staff that nobody knew anything happened.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm ever hearing about an incident. What happened?
See, and one of our guests was rude to one of our staff. She got very upset about it, and so I took her place and calmed her down, talked to him a little bit, and then I took over for her and ran the panel rooms. But that's just it. Nobody knew it happened because we handled it.
That's so strange.
So,
I didn't hear anything about that. I heard about a couple of like whispers of things that go wrong, but I was always just like, because we talked about this. We've talked about this a lot. Metrotham working it was my first convention,
right?
So I really came in not knowing what to expect.
Oh, but you had me from day one because you're great.
I mean, I just literally showed up and like I said on like our first recordings and stuff like that, I've said in the past that like I am like I identify myself as an atheist, and I identify myself with mostly the left wing of politics, but I came from a conservative Baptist family.
And I get that.
One of the things that was like really streamed into me is like when you do something, you do it. You don't half-ass.
Yeah.
You know? And like that's pretty much like all I did at the convention. And like I'm such a downer on myself that like I didn't even like think that I did that well that weekend. I was like, oh, everybody's just really nice. Yeah.
You did really good. Like I said, there's at one point where I needed help because we had a pavilion that was flying away. And I literally just needed bodies. Yeah. And everybody was busy, and you were the one that actually came out there and helped. And that right there was like, oh, yep, he's a keeper. And in fact, I told Mark later that day, I was like, keep him. I don't care. Keep him. Find a way, make him stay. Because you did. You like just came, like you came running out there and helped. And, you know, that's the thing. When Mark talks about like we're a family, it really is. Yeah. I mean, we really are. This will get the old people. When you think back to Dragon Con in the 80s, because it was the late 80s, early 90s, up until we had to move out of the Hilton, we were a family. We hung out together. We did everything together. You know, we spent time around the year together. The first year I missed the con, like I told you earlier, people from Dragon Con called every hospital in Chattanooga and like, we know you're in the hospital because you're not here. Yeah. And it was true. I was literally in the hospital
because you got hit by an 18-wheeler.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
But that's what we are. We're
I didn't
a
know
family.
there was a survival rate for people getting hit by 18-wheelers. Like, are you talking like you were in a car?
I was in a car.
Okay. I was just imagining like you walking down the street.
No. I had pulled up to see past a car parked in the street. And he was speeding. Yeah. He was doing 85 and a 30.
Okay.
And when he saw me inch forward, he slammed his brakes on and jackknifed. And his back tire hit my fender and put me in a yard 3 houses down. Instead of this way. So he turned my car and put me 3 houses down. And my dashboard was on my legs. Ooh. And we had to pull me out, and it ruined the muscles in my legs.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah, like, you said, like, you had to go through, like, 7 years of steroid treatment. You were in the wheelchair for, like...
I was only in the wheelchair for about a year. Yeah. And then I was in the big clunky braces on my legs. And then I went to smaller and smaller braces. And, I went from really, like, athletic and things like that to steroid weight. So, but, you know, I'm walking, and I'm breathing, and who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and plus, like, you just really, sorry about the earthquake, ladies and gentlemen, for the people who will watch the live version of this later.
And you'll see me grab him,
just like stop. I'm like, yeah, but like I think like the first time, because you know how I am, like it takes me like months to learn people's names and stuff like that. I'm a very forgetful person and stuff like that.
So is my husband. So yeah.
I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble because, like, literally I'll go to other conventions and, like, there'll be people, like, cosplayers that, like, came to, like, our first year. I'm like, hey, I'm Justin. I'm with Metrotham Con. And he's like, dude, we party. Like, what are you talking about? And it's just like, yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, your makeup's different colors this time.
And people in the con circuit, once you get to them, they don't take offense because you see them once a year, twice a year, something like that. So yeah, that's normal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, technically I retired from cons. I retired from cosplay. And then Mark dragged me back in.
Nice. So like, pretty much like, because like, you had a very negative view on the con scene in Chattanooga. If I'm thinking correctly, right?
Yes and no. I mean, there are some amazing cons in Chattanooga, and I've helped all of them. Chattacon is my birthday con. It's your birthday con because we share the same birthday.
No, yours is
the 26th.
Mine's 25th.
Oh,
so sorry. Yeah,
same weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you know, that's my birthday con. They're a literary con. They've been around forever. They are the oldest literary convention in the Southeast. And Chattacon is where a lot of other cons got started. Liberty Con is a beast in and of itself. They have a cap, 750 people. That's it. And once, like, the guest of honors for that, they like to come back every year. And they do. You know, we're talking about famous writers come to this on their own dime.
Wow.
You know, Steve Jackson considers it his home con, and he lives in Austin, Texas.
Well, like, yeah, the people that like I talked to like about Chattanooga itself, like people were just like, dude, I would love to like work like a weekend in Chattanooga and do this, but you know, not with our con, but with other cons. Like I literally showed up as a guest one weekend, they didn't pay me, and stuff like that.
There's a con that I worked with, but I hear a lot of complaints about that. Yeah. You know, I don't have anything to do with them, so I really can't talk about it, you know, but I have heard that. I tell people, we don't get a contract.
We don't have to do that. Like, the people that know about the Chattanooga scene know what con to go to, and which con to go to, and which con not to go to.
You know,
stuff like that.
Because
it's no secret.
Yeah.
Like, to the con world, when you say Chattanooga, because like, I have to tell people I'm with, like, Metrotham, instead of being, like, with, like, this other con.
Yeah.
So that they'll even talk to me.
I mean, and there's more than just 3 or 4 cons. There's several cons. But I quit doing all conventions pretty much. Like, I was only going to do, like, Liberty, Chattacon, and then I was doing ABC, Anime Blast Chattanooga.
Is that still a thing?
They're kind of defunct right now. When they lost the venue, when the Chi-Chi closed, nobody had a choice. They didn't have anywhere to go. No hotel wanted a convention, and we all felt that. You know, every con felt that. The last convention they had there, I believe, was Chattacon. You know, so they're a little defunct right now.
Maybe, but they've gotten a little bit better on it. We had Chattacon at
last year was the DoubleTree.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah, it was amazing. Like,
because as soon as like you found out that like my birthday was the 25th, like a month prior to that, you were like, hey, you're working this con, and we're both going to celebrate our birthdays together and stuff and everything like that. And I was like, that sounds really fun, actually. And by the end of the night, I remember like I freaked out one girl because I was so faded, like I was so drunk and so other things that like I was just like sitting there, and she doesn't know that I'm just like staring right through her. I'm not staring at her,
right? I'm
just like. And she was like literally talking to you, and she was just like, "Dude, what the fuck is this kid's problem?"
I have since learned to adjust how strong I make my drinks for the Metrotham crew, because I have realized that my tolerance for all the years that I've been drinking at cons is much, much higher.
Well, I'm also not afraid to admit it. I am a lightweight, and it's very surprising to people. 6'3", 215 pounds.
Yeah. Well, but I was like literally 110 pounds, and I was out drinking 400-pound dude at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
And there was a room full of people to verify it, you know? He literally left in an ambulance with alcohol poisoning. And, you know, it was Dragon Con. So
well, you got something to prove.
But, you know, that's how I started going to cons, was because
you were like
parties.
You told me like you were like 14 when you started going to cons.
And it was the 80s. Nobody cared that you were underage and drinking.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. Who cared? So, yeah, I started when I was like 14-ish.
Is that a gram of coke? Get out of here, you crazy kids.
Yeah. You know, Dragon Con was not my first con, but I was at the first one.
Yeah.
In fact, that was my first job.
Wow.
So the person in charge of Dragon Con was like, "You're outgoing here." And he handed me a roll of electrical tape. And he said, "Make sure all the girls have their nipples covered." Did not realize that I was a minor. And so my job was to run around and go, "Rip, rip, you have to at least cover your nipples." And I handed them so they could X out their nipples. That was my very first con job.
Dirty nipple.
Because it was the law. Because, you know, in Atlanta, you know. So, yeah, that was, anytime I saw a girl with her nipples exposed, rip, rip, here you go.
Here you go. Cover that shit up.
And it progressed from there.
Nobody wants to see that. Wink, wink.
You know? But yeah, now I've done almost everything. There's a few things I haven't done. I don't want to do them. I don't want to be the guest liaison. I don't want to be the hotel liaison. I don't want to do those things. You can't make me. Never going to happen.
I don't know what most of these words mean. That's the hilarious
The
thing.
person that books the guests and makes sure their travel is arranged and all their little...
that's Mark.
It's Mark for us.
Yeah.
Our hotel liaison, the person that makes sure our venue is all set up and all the contracts and everything, which is Mark for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing those things.
That sounds stressful.
We had those discussions a long time ago, and he was cool with that. So, but, I mean, like, the more involved I am with this con is because I'm as involved as Mark wants me to be, and I will work as hard as he's working. And he's already shown he'll work his ass off. He'll do everything possible to make sure we have the best con. And it's not the normal con. It's not going and sitting and listening to the same panels every year, just sitting there listening to people talk. I'm making sure our panels are interactive.
I mean, last year, like, our con was, like, really cool because, you know, we had the X-Men people there. And they hadn't seen each other in, like, almost over 20 years, right? Like, some of them haven't.
2 weeks before that, they had done another con.
Oh, but they were just telling
But
everybody.
it's because the Texas con found out we were doing it, and they called them to see if they could get them for like the next year. They're like, well, we're going to be down there anyways. Why don't we just do yours first?
Yeah.
So it's not like they were really trying to steal them.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But no, that was like just really cool, like, because my first job with the con was actually, like, I was the handler for Mark Edens and Larry Houston.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Larry Houston and Mark Edens both, they were both just like really cool, really down to earth.
Oh yeah. And most
wisdom.
stars are.
Yeah, full of wisdom, full of like really funny stories. The only negative, like, so I won't say who it is, mostly just because people probably haven't heard about him yet, but only negative celebrity thing I've ever had, like, just interacting with them, was at a con in Alabama, and that dude was just like, you've seen Jay and Silent Bob, right? It was like Jay came to life and was just 5 times more egotistical than Jay in the movie.
Wow.
Because
Jay in real life is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, he's actually a really cool dude.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, like, just his character.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, so, like, in the movies and everything like that, which, if you didn't know, there's a huge Kevin Smith fan right here. But,
Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. Let's face it, he's not.
I mean, a lot of people, sadly. Like,
they're stupid people.
Yeah. Like,
Sorry,
I hate...
it's a fact. You're stupid.
I hate people that, like, are really into movies and try to tell me that Clerks isn't a good movie. I'm like, Clerks is a fantastic movie.
It's actually really well written.
You're going to tell me Chasing Amy isn't a good movie? You're going to tell me Dogma isn't a good movie? You're going to tell me Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back isn't a good movie?
You know, the funny thing is, Zach got to meet Amy from Chasing Amy because, you know,
Yeah.
she was playing her own role.
Yeah.
And he actually went and talked to her because he went to a con for his bachelor party. So really, that's a really cool bachelor party. But nobody was going to her table, nobody was doing anything, and she went outside, and he happened to be outside because at the time he was still smoking cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And they talked forever, and he was just like, it's so cool. And he was a little shocked that nobody was coming to her table, nobody was doing anything, and the con wasn't doing anything to help that.
Yeah, but at one point, like, at first, this guy was just, like, being, like, way too over the top about everything. He was, like, over dramatizing all the stories, talk about, like, how many drugs he had in his room and stuff, and he'd be like, yeah, just got done taking, like, 10 pounds of shrooms. And it's just like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, like, because at one point we just, like, felt bad because, like, this dude got super smashed with us. Like, he was actually, like, hanging out with us. We hung out with this dude for a large majority of my night. I'm mad because I had other people to hang out with that I could be doing better things with, but instead I'm watching this dude be an asshole and photobombing people's proms pictures and stuff like that. But so at one point, like, we leave the con to go to a bar that's across the street because he wants to play pool. And he's, like, buying everybody drinks. And, like, we do that. We have the drinks. We're walking back, and we're walking in front of a Kmart. And walking back to the con, this man literally drops his pants and just like starts scooting, like pissing, like in front of the entrance of the Kmart. And he like looked around at us and was just like, ha ha ha. And we're like, ha 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 ha. Like what?
No.
Like
No.
what? What are you doing, man?
No.
It's like,
I mean, I've gotten to meet a lot of people, and there's always going to be those jerks.
That's
ridiculous.
I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't a fan of the guy. I just didn't know who he was. And then I found out later. It's like, oh yeah, I totally remember that guy being one of the extras in this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I've met extras before, and they're way more calm and down to earth than you are, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, like let's see if he's up there. Can't think of the dude's name.
So we're looking around because Mark has a lot of pictures of our past guests and things like that up on the walls.
Who was the guy that lost his rocket backpack?
Oh, yeah.
John Anderson. Where is he at?
He's not up there.
All right. But yeah, John Anderson was really cool. And also huge. I didn't know John was that big in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm 6'3", and this dude towered over me. Like, he was looking down at me. Like, could have rested his elbow on my head.
But it makes his hugs better.
Yeah, it does. I was just like, I feel so safe right now.
Yeah.
This is weird.
So, yeah. I will say, though, my favorite to hang out with last year was Bill Rogers.
Bill Rogers?
Yes. He was so fun, so accommodating, willing to do anything. He was my favorite. I didn't get to hang out with him long because I got to meet. I didn't even get to meet everybody because I was so busy. But like I got to tell 3 of them how Pokemon was like my love-hate thing.
Yeah.
Because I was an adult when Pokemon came out.
Yeah, tell the story, please. I like the story about your love-hate relationship with Pokemon.
Yeah, it was the bane of my existence because my child was very young. Pokemon came out, so he was very, very into it then. You know, I'm old. But I'm an adult, and Pokemon is not my thing, okay? Yeah. To me, the comment I made was, it's a weird bug-catching game. Come to find out, that's what it was based on. But I was just like, I knew all 150 Pokemon, not by choice. Okay? I knew them all. Because Nick watched it all the time.
Yeah, and there was like a really sweet story you told like Rachel Willis.
So yeah, I made her cry. So I'm dyslexic, severely dyslexic. My son is too.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of things that got him to start reading, and Pokemon was one of the first. He would read a Pokédex, and he would read those cards, and he struggled with it until he could do it. But it literally helped change my son's life. Pokemon helped change his life, flat out. And those people, because of that, made a big difference in my life. You know, so Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and Dungeons and Dragons helped my son be able to read.
Yeah, I bet that made Rachel cry, because Rachel is such a sweet person.
She really was.
So sweet.
Even Bill he was like, that's, you know, amazing. You know, nobody's ever told him this, but it's true, because, you know, he wanted to read. Because he wanted to be able to do the Pokédex and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But did I, at, you know, 19, 20, want to know all the Pokemon? Honestly, no, I didn't. Mm-hmm. You know? I introduced him to Sailor Moon. I introduced him to, you know, Ninja Turtles, all
Sailor
that
Moon
stuff.
was my first anime.
And, you know, I mean, I introduced him to all that. But Pokemon was almost as bad as Barney.
I mean, yeah, but Pokemon was just like, I mean, it's still huge. But, But like, especially like when it came out, because like you didn't just have the show, you had the Game Boy Color games, you had the card game. Like I was 12 when like the show came over, but I had been playing Pokemon since I was like 10 because of the Game Boy Color. I got my copy of Fire Red. Funny story, my first Pokemon involved in the middle of church one time. That to me is like one of my favorite childhood memories now, because that was like one of my first just like exposures. So to me, just like kind of like stepping away from it. Yeah, kind of almost.
But I mean, they really did do something special for me. You know, like I had my own thing, which is one reason Dragon Con was big for me for so long is because it's named after the Dragon Riders of Pern, which was written by Anne McCaffrey, and I learned to read because of her books. And I got to meet her a couple times, never talk with her. I now can say that I'm kind of friends with her son. You know, his writing partners have the same form of dyslexia I have. You know, things like that. But Pokemon really did something special in our lives.
Yeah.
I mean...
All right. I kind of want to ask just because, like, I don't like looking up, like, definitions for, like, mental illness and stuff because I find, like, even, like, when I look up mine, I find them to be, like, way too complicated
Yeah.
of, like, from a person that suffers with dyslexia, for those out there that might not know, what is dyslexia?
So dyslexia is seeing things incorrectly.
Okay.
And there's multiple forms. So some people only have it with numbers, some people only have it with letters, some people have it with both. I actually have a form where I can watch letters move. And when I was real little, I'd say that they were dancing. That was the only way I could describe it. I didn't get diagnosed until I was in 7th grade, and then they went and put it on my school record. Because in the 80s, just so you know, if you had anything wrong with that, it put you in the remedial classes. Now I was in all the gifted classes. But I struggled with reading, and one of my 7th grade teachers picked it up. When I moved here in high school, the special ed teacher handed me a worksheet because it was busy work because our teacher had to go home. And I thought it was just copying the words over, you know, busy work. But it was actually, they were out of order. And I didn't read it that way. I read them like they were normal. And then she was like, how did you do that? And I was like, I just copied. So yeah, but yeah, I can, especially when I'm tired. I was playing a video game one night and like half the screen disappeared. Like it was just black patches. So yeah, my dyslexia is very active. So yeah.
And like, if you feel comfortable, like, is your son's the same as you, or is it different?
It's different. His isn't as, I don't want to say it's not as severe, but like he'll get things out of order. Sometimes letters like B's and P's and D's, they're the same letter.
Yeah,
you know,
switched around.
Yeah,
and stuff like
so
that.
You know, sometimes you'll see me when I'm writing or typing. I'm doing this, and it's because I'm going letter by letter to make sure it's right. It makes your spelling atrocious. You just have to double check yourself. You know, and you know, his isn't. I want to say his was easier to deal with because stuff wasn't moving on him.
Yeah.
You know,
and also like, yeah, we as far as mental health goes, as for someone who like grew up around it, because like even before I knew about my mental illness, like I grew up with a father who's type 1 bipolar.
Okay.
So
yeah,
like I was constantly around it. I think that's like why I'm able to deal with my mental illness the way that I do. I was able to do it a long time without medication, but I'm actually going back on at least for a short period of time. But
I mean, you got to use what helps you. It's like we talked about, you know, I have a coping mechanism, which is a stuffed monkey that I carry around with me a lot of times.
Yeah.
And that's I can handle things with him so I don't have to take all the drugs.
Yeah.
You know, do what works for you. And even if you have to use medication, if it's something that can be corrected, do it.
Yeah.
You know, do it because that's what it's there for.
Yeah, like, but I was like, honestly, like especially in my adult life, I've been like really scared of it because I like to joke around and tell people that I was pretty much a lab rat when I was growing up and everything like that. Like I was put on all the different because of my dad, they thought, you know, that I was going to turn out just as severe, if not more severe than him. So like whenever like especially my teenage years when you're going through mood changes,
your chemicals go insane in your body.
And like when I tell people like I don't want to see kids medicated, it comes from like a place of knowing of what that does.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do not think children should be on Adderall, on Ritalin, or anything like that.
I mean, Nick was really bad ADD. We controlled it with coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's what we did, but it worked for him.
Well, like my mom, like I don't blame my parents for like what happened with my medication because they were literally listening to someone that was a medical professional. Like this is what's best for your son and stuff like that. But like I was on Adderall, like when I like I was on Adderall from like 7th grade all the way through my freshman year of college. And the reason why I had to stop is because my body had built up such an immunity towards Adderall that for it to work, I was literally taking 375 milligram extended time releases a day.
Yeah, so you were pretty much maxed out.
Yeah, and the reason why I stopped is because my kidneys were going into the process of shutting down because I just couldn't drink. I was drinking 2 gallons of water a day. I still wasn't drinking enough water.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And also I started having like episodes of missed time. Like I would not be on anything else. Like one time I was literally in my college center and I was studying for a biology final that was coming up. So like I literally opened my computer and I can't remember the exact time, but like I looked down and it's this time and I look back up and I start typing something out and I blink. And when I open my eyes back up, it's night. I'm in the back of my car, and it's like 4 or 5 hours later. I didn't have any money on me that day, but I woke up and there was like a Coke and a pizza in my front seat, and I have no recollection of like what happened between that time.
Yeah.
One time I literally did it when I was at home, and I was watching Pawn Stars back in the day, and blinked and I had 5 hours of time missing. And I was just like, this is not normal. I was like, whatever this is, like I'm not doing anything, I'm not getting myself in trouble, but this is a problem and everything. So my psychiatrist was trying to put me on another medication to like counteract the additions, but then I started doing my own research, started talking to school psychiatrists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were all like, no, you need to stop for a while. Like, yeah, your mind's gonna be all over the place, but it's better than like killing your kidneys and killing like just your sanity.
Yeah, it's
all
a
Adderall,
scary medication.
Yeah, all Adderall is like it's like the purest form of meth that's ever been made. It's an amphetamine.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's like I said, we use caffeine, which is an amphetamine, on my son when he was young, my oldest, because it worked. But I also didn't let him have. I was a weird mom. I was a teen mom, but I was really weird. Like my son got in an argument with his friends years ago when McDonald's started giving apples and Happy Meals, because he was like, "They've always had Happy Meals. What'd you do to my skull?"
I did nothing.
But he's like, "They've always had apples." And then
Mark, you got some flyers, man.
I was like, "No, sweetie, I just used to take them."
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll just super glue it. But I was like, no, I used to take milk and apples when you were going to McDonald's and give you that with your Happy Meal, because I didn't want him eating the junk. Oh, that's great. That's great.
For those of you who are just listening, I just poured, what is it, all over myself?
This is green soylent. It's a rum-based drink.
It's delicious.
So, yeah.
Good for cologne, too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give that.
Took the cork and I don't know what he did. But we'll fix that later. This one's Purple Haze. It's
no, officer, I haven't
based.
had a drink tonight.
Oh. Hey, at least it's not strong smelling.
Right.
So,
this stuff is delicious.
Well,
like you made this stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, lots of years in cons.
Yeah, so sorry before I made a complete ass of myself.
You're
what
fine.
were we talking about?
We were talking about, like, I was the weird mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, instead of giving him a lot of medication, we did coffee. He didn't have sodas on a normal day. So, give him a little bit of caffeine and he would calm down,
That's so crazy for people with, like, ADD and ADHD, how, like, stimulants and stuff, like, actually slow us down. Like, huh?
Move your cup.
Oh. Still learning the ropes, guys, if you haven't figured it out. But, yeah, like, I was the opposite because, like, my psychiatrists and doctors told them, like, my parents that I wasn't, like, a typical child when it came to that. Like, sugar and caffeine didn't wire me, so I could pretty much have as much as I want.
Well, see, that's just it. Because they gave you as much as you want, it stopped doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So, like, because I didn't let him have soda, I could give him a hot chocolate, or, like, what I used to do is give him a hot chocolate with a little shot of coffee in it. Like, not really a mocha, but close.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the kid could go to sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, like I'm not so much as far as like adults, because here's the thing with like kids and everything. Like when you try to medicate them and everything, like a brain isn't fully developed until it's 25. And kind of to me, like I wouldn't necessarily call myself an addict, but because of my childhood and the drugs that I was on, like I don't necessarily like when I'm sober, I don't feel normal, and I am sober a lot of the
Yeah.
times, but because of my childhood, I feel like
Just
something.
because you took it like prescribed doesn't mean you weren't addicted.
Yeah, I was very addicted because like I was very like rambunctious, and I wasn't as calm back then as I am now about like
I can see that. Yeah.
letting people tell me like what's best for me and everything, people that know and everything. There's a difference between believing everybody and just accepting people and they're trying to help you.
Right.
So like pretty much like I went through a bad breakup at the same time that all this was happening and everything like that. So pretty much I said like if I quit this, I'm gonna quit cold turkey, and I did that. And after, I don't know if you know this, but after 11 years of pretty much every day taking Adderall and then just
I was a pharmacy tech. Yeah,
yeah,
that's not good.
I went through
Big
the
withdrawal.
withdrawals. I would wake up in the night covered in itchy whelps, sleep paralysis, and that's actually like why I started smoking weed and everything, like as much and everything like that, because
Yeah.
it gave my body something else to just kind of relax on and everything like that. And people was like, "Well, that's just an addiction," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the only the only difference between my addiction and your addiction is that your addiction is prescribed. I've been there. There's no judgment, but your addiction's legal. Mine isn't."
Yeah. I mean, there's proven fact there's a lot of medical uses for it.
Yeah.
I actually was part of a study years ago, because I'm allergic to sedatives.
Really?
Yeah, so they did a study with a bunch of us that were allergic to sedatives to see how it worked as a sedative for us. I go to sleep. I mean, I used to get a pill bottle with joints pre-rolled, and you had to keep a journal every day, and they changed, our strain or whatever every so often, and you had to carry this identification with you and stuff. Um, and it lasted for almost a year. And I mean, yeah, I went to sleep. That's the best sleep I've had in my entire life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it has, my husband has seizures, and they've already proven it's one of the best things out there for seizures.
Like literally, like in children, like the CBD oil stops it right then and there.
Yeah.
Like, from most of the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean,
one of my friends who's studying to be a nurse is trying to tell me like the medical sciences and stuff that are coming out for it aren't showing that, and I'm like,
here's the thing. So Dr. Gupa, who worked for CNN for years, was totally against it. So he went and met the little girl in Colorado that the law is named after. He went, met her, did the research, got on CNN and said, I was wrong. Now, he was the one that preached against it the loudest. And he said, I was wrong.
I mean, it's just...
It works.
It's crazy because, we're supposed to be the land of the free and everything like that. And it's not just like that. Like, because I agree that some drugs should be illegal, especially like the imperfect form of those drugs. Because any drug that you're trying to get off the street, I think there should be like a legal way to get it. That way...
Some of them I disagree with, but yeah.
Yeah. Disagree in the fact that I wouldn't do it, but here's coming from an American citizen, like why I think that they should do that.
Yeah.
It would get the unclean stuff off the street. People would know what they're getting. Like, like right now, especially like if you smoke weed and everything like I do on occasion, wink wink, but you don't know what you're getting. You don't know if it's sativa. You don't know if it's an indica. You don't know if it's been cut. You don't know if like some dude is just like trying to make his stuff better and is lacing it with something.
Yeah.
Like that's why I go through people I trust always.
Yeah. I mean,
no bullshit. Yeah.
There's just, I don't know. It's weird because you've got like, okay, cocaine.
Yeah.
Cocaine is a Schedule 1 drug, completely illegal, unless you're a dentist. Cocaine has been used in the dentist industry for so long that there are still dentists out there that use it legally. Yeah.
Can you give me the name of these dentists?
There's none in Chattanooga. But because it does automatically numb your mouth as soon as it touches it. And so they're dwindling, but the old school dentists, they still use it, you know. You have to get a special license and all that stuff, but do they have a purpose? That's the big thing. Do they have a purpose? Mm-hmm. But that just goes like showing, you know, look at the U.S. compared to every other country when it comes to fast food.
Yeah.
You know, for them to legally operate in those countries, their food has to meet standards that they don't have to meet here.
Yeah.
They fed us pink slime. You know? So, yeah. But, you know, we went real dark and real deep.
Yeah.
We need to go back lighter.
Okay, for sure. For sure.
Because we went real deep there for a minute.
But yeah, I mean, but you just, like, see it everywhere in the con. And, like, it's never been, like... I've never felt sketched out around a group of stoners. Like, everything I've seen in Hollywood and the movies has been pretty much bullshit in my experience. When it comes to the drugs that I'm involved with. I'm not involved in the harder stuff. But yeah, I really like it. I really like... What are some things that, like, you really nerd out about? Like, what are some things that, like, you're really, like, a fan of? Like, when you hear news about something that just, like, makes your day.
So, I get real attached to certain people.
Okay.
Like, so I used to throw raves way back in the day, in the 90s. And I had a DJ that I hired several occasions, Greg Ayers. Well, he's a well-known voice actor.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it until one of my favorite animes is Sayuki. And I'm sitting there going, why do I know that voice? It's Greg. Greg says he plays all the 12-year-old boys because he's got that gravel to his voice.
Yeah.
And he's great. I love him. He's a friend. He's a good DJ. He works hard. He deserves all the best for everything. So, like, but I followed everything he's done, you know, not just because he's my friend. You know, that's like, I started watching Critical Role, not because they play D&D, but it's because of all these voice actors I love that have done all these amazing things. And I'm trying to target Mark into getting them all. But just so you know, but they've done it. I mean, we're talking about Laura Bailey as Trunks.
Yeah.
You know, Gara.
Laura Bailey is really cool
amazing.
Person in every interview I've seen him in.
Yeah. You know, Liam O'Brien is Gara. Roy Mustang, that's Laura's husband, Travis. Matt Mercer is in everything.
Matt Mercer is hilarious.
You know? Yes.
He is such a funny dude.
Ashley Johnson has been a child actor. She started in Growing Pains, of all things.
I got a story about Mustang when we get done with
this.
Yeah.
I mean, just, they're in everything. Marisha's... Okay, so I'm sorry if this sounds mean. Marisha's like Soldier B, though. She's in everything, but she's, like, not big roles.
Yeah.
She's the only one that's not, like, had these groundbreaking roles. Like, Last of Us, Ashley. I mean, come on. Ashley in Last of Us was amazing. Laura is such a good actress. When she did Last of Us 2...
Which one did she voice?
Abby.
She voiced... Oh,
yeah.
Fuck Abby.
So... but Laura got
she did such a good job voicing and playing that character, though. Yeah.
So, and I don't even play those video games. But, you know, Laura did such a good job. You
don't get why I just said fuck Abby.
Oh, no, I do.
Okay, yeah.
But, you know, Laura ended up getting death threats over her character in Last of Us 2.
That's so fucking stupid.
But because she's that good of an actress.
Yeah.
You know, Sam... Okay, let's talk about Sam for a second. Sam is the unknown hero of Critical Role. Because one, he was one of the kids in Les Mis. He has won Emmys. He directs for several, like voice director, cast director for several kid shows, like Sophia the First. You know, things like that. I mean, he's done a lot too. And he never gets the recognition.
Who's he?
Sam Riegel.
Yeah.
He is.
I know I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's. Oh my gosh, I have a packet of paper this thick with everything they've done because I'm doing my research, so I can be like, here's everything, their resumes.
I mean, you
know?
can't be expected to know everything.
But
at
yeah,
all times,
but
so, yeah.
and it's slipping my mind. But they've done like Laura and Travis both. You know, he's Roy Mustang, she's Lust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to tell you about.
Okay,
like,
go ahead.
It's like, you know, they're married and everything. And like, say they're like, Roy said sometimes like when like they're having an argument or something like that, like they have a surround sound system within their house, and so he'll just go to the TV and play the scene where Roy kills Lust and just like play it full blast throughout the house.
Yeah, she was really mad about that. Really mad. But it's like
I was just like, you're a savage, Roy.
Yes, I was just watching the episode in Critical Role where she shows up because she heard on Twitter that Sam was touching her dice because Sam had made a joke about it. So she left the Video Games Awards that she was nominated for to get there. It only took her like 45 minutes to drive across LA because somebody said Sam was touching her dice. So she stayed in the game, but she walks in and she's like done up to the nine, you know, and Travis's face was priceless because he's just, you know, he glowed when she walked in, you know.
Yeah.
And then their little exchange was so cute because Travis stays in character.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, the whole group, they're great. And they brought D&D to mainstream, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good tool for so many things. Like I said, it's one of the things that helped my kid learn to read.
Yeah, for real. I just got into it for recent years because I grew up in one of those families that everything's the devil, pretty much.
Yeah.
I can't remember their names, but do you know about these people that, like, they ran a daycare and this, like, town did, like, a witch hunt on them because they, like, played D&D? And they got sent to prison in the 70s, and they're still in prison.
I believe it
for playing D&D.
When we were playing in Texas, we like the richer kids played.
Yeah,
because you had to be able to afford the books,
the figurines.
Well, even without, you just had to be able to afford the books. You had to have a place big enough where everybody could come play, and then you had to feed everybody that was there. You know, so. The kids with money played.
Yeah.
You know? That's just how it was. And you know, it's so weird. And I grew up in a Catholic area. Everybody's Catholic. You know? It's Texas. Everybody's Catholic.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Because if you're Hispanic, you're most likely Catholic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've been to Texas once, and, like, it was, like, mostly, like, I thought it was like mostly like a Baptist scene.
You went North Texas.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I was really young. This was like when Phantom Menace came out.
So you probably went to Dallas, which, okay. Houston
no,
and
I wasn't
Dallas.
in Dallas. I landed in Dallas. We were about 2 hours.
You were in North Texas. Yeah. Houston and Dallas never get along until somebody from outside Texas says something about one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're like, don't talk about them. Don't even go there. Because it's like bred into us. Like we have this pride.
So you're like from Texas, right?
I'm from Texas. I grew up in Texas.
How did you feel about like the whole Tiger King documentary and stuff like that?
I'll be honest, I've never seen it. I've not seen a single episode. I refuse to read all about it. But it's for a different reason. Like I've been to a lot of these tiger farms. I was in a program where we were domesticating bobcat hybrids to get them out of the wild. I'm very much into nature and animals.
Me too.
And that goes along with, you know, my religious beliefs and things like that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I'm totally down to talk about those things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care to.
As an atheist, like I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room, which is where like a lot
yeah.
Most of the time, other atheists piss me off more than religious people.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, you don't have to act like, you know, you're the center of all knowledge just because you don't believe in something.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you smart.
The thing is, my biggest problem is when you have somebody that's Christian, somebody that is atheist or pagan or agnostic or whatever should not know more about your religion than you do.
Yeah.
And I've had Christians tell me that Jesus was not a Jew, that it's not a Hebrew God, that
So yeah, these people know nothing about the fucking
Exactly.
religion they come from.
And I'm firmly into live what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of Christians don't do that. I'm
Yeah.
pagan. I'm actually a shaman, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. I think nature is important, but if you read your Bible, it says that God gave everything we needed to us in nature, but yet you don't take care of the earth.
Yeah, nothing.
You know, you let your people go hungry.
It's weird that, like, especially from that side, like, and not every Christian person does this,
Right.
But it's weird because, like, you know, they preach all these things, but as soon as it starts, like, going into politics, becoming laws and everything, it's not Christian anymore, it's socialism.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, drives me absolutely fucking nuts. And that's, like, one of the main reasons I stepped away from my religion. I was like, dude, you guys are all so over the wall. You say you're this thing, but then you come over here and you do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? I was like, I don't think any of you know what you believe.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to step away from it, because all it's doing is confusing me.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You've got to. If you don't, then you're a hypocrite and shut your mouth.
Yeah. And, like, I don't think you need a religion just to, like, live your life as a nice person.
Be a good person. Yeah.
If something's keeping you up at night, it's probably because you did something shitty that day.
Yeah. And I have a firm belief that if what you're doing makes you happy and doesn't hurt anyone else, including you, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah. And that's not, like, go to other religious people like I'm perfect. I'm not. I make my mistakes all the time. Yeah, I don't want to be. Perfect is boring.
Not just that, but it's a high thing to stay up there with.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? Real. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Catholic family, obviously. It didn't make sense to me. My priest actually helped me a lot. You know, and especially when you're little and traumatic things happen.
It was a priest that, like, kind of led me to the realization that I was an atheist.
In a good way or a bad way?
Good way.
Good. Yeah.
Very good way.
Yeah, my priest was like, I care more about you as a person than the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what he did makes it so I can still respect the Christian religion.
Yeah.
You know,
I can respect people inside the Christian religion.
As a whole, like, okay, humanity sucks.
Yeah.
But there are people that are good.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at the Christian religion as a whole. Yeah. Every religion has its bigots.
It's not just religious either.
Every religion group. Yeah. Every religion has done bad things. Every religion has their people that go way out there. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're happy, then you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. And
if I'm not hurting you, that's fine, because your rights stop where mine start. That's the big thing people forget.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, sorry, anti-maskers,
you're fucking stupid.
You're stupid because it's your right not to wear a mask until it's my right to have you wear one. I have an autoimmune disease. I have psoriasis.
And, like, what people don't understand, it's like, you know, how is this protecting me from the virus? Like, it's not protecting you, it's protecting other people from you.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. It's protecting you, but it's protecting other people. Is it a perfect thing? No.
We don't know the perfect thing.
There isn't a perfect thing.
Yeah,
unless we all live in a bubble.
Yeah, this is just reducing the numbers and everything. And what people don't understand is, like, well, I'm going to go out and, you know, not wear my mask because it doesn't cut down the chances of me getting it. That's not the problem, dude. The problem is that you could have it and not even know you have it, and then spread it on to someone like you, and, like, 4 weeks later, you're dead because you're being an asshole and a 4-year-old because you won't put on a fucking mask over your face. It's just a part of a dress code now. No shoots, no shoes, no shirt, no shoes, no pants, no mask, no fucking service, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know, you're doing it. You're doing it to protect yourself, but you're also doing it to protect the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And people are stupid. People, you know, the same people that are like, well, it's my right not to wear a mask are also the people that want to dictate what people can do with their bodies.
Yeah, the same people that are anti-maskers are the people that are against abortion.
Yeah. And
which I We can talk about that if you want to. But
I don't care. I mean,
yeah,
everybody has their own personal views, and everybody has their own reasons.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is you can't say that, okay, well, they can't tell you what to do when you want to tell everybody else what to do.
Yeah, I just
That's
feel
what it
like
comes down
it's
to.
a conversation that like way too many men have, and they don't know what goes into it. So they should, if anybody, it should, like when it comes down to rules and stuff at abortion, a man shouldn't be allowed in that room. It should just be women.
I mean,
in my opinion,
I think the thing that's hardest for me is there is a young, very young, like not even teen girl that was raped, forced to have the baby, and now has to have contact with that rapist because he has visitation rights.
like what the fuck is that? Like you're telling me that's just
She has to take that child to the jail to see him. That to me is taking it too far.
yeah, for real.
You know, that's my opinion though. And opinions aren't fact. Do I think that that is wrong beyond belief? Yes. You know, but again, when it's something that's an opinion, I don't think it should be dictated.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to dictate your opinion onto me. Just
Not
like
at all.
I shouldn't be able to dictate mine onto you. You know, people are saying they want this and they want that because they want it their way.
Yeah.
Where do I come in for it?
Like the thing about society, and it's just weird growing up because like the world that I was prepared for, like the world that I was told was the case, that you know I came from, like I said, a conservative Baptist family, and they told me that people have their rights, people feel safe, we fixed all of our problems of the past because a lot of my family, we have Confederate background and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when people ask me my opinion on it, I'm just like, for one, I wasn't there. I'm not going to judge people from the past like I judge people today because they didn't have the things that I have today. 3, I think it was stupid. Looking back.
See,
yeah,
I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
Everywhere in Texas, they fly the Confederate flag
Which
because
is fucking stupid. Because you want to know why? It's not the right fucking flag.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Texas was part of the Confederacy. If you've ever been to Six Flags, guess where that came from? Six Flags over Texas. That was the first one. That's where the name came from. 6 flags have flown over Texas. They fly all 6 flags, even the Mexican flag. It's when it was its own country, they fly all 6. So it has a different meaning to me, but I understand why it offends people. You know, and for me, it's part of my history. It's part of, if you live in Texas, if you were raised in Texas, it is like born into you to be Texas proud. It's just a fact. Get over it.
Yeah. That's kind of like how it was bred into me, but the great thing about me is like I grew up around a lot of different views from my own.
Yeah.
And so like you either had to learn to argue your own life or you had to learn to listen sometimes and take in other people's views. And I think that's like where I really come in. Like I'm good at talking to people, but I'm also just as good as listening and not saying anything.
Yeah.
But the thing that really
I look at it as it's a piece of history and you don't want to forget your history.
Yeah.
And it's
not at all.
Yeah, and that's different for
like
me.
People like, and I understand that the statues didn't come after the Civil War. They came actually when desegregation was trying to happen, and people were trying to be pro segregation and stuff like that, and that's where all these statues and stuff came from. But like I explained it because like a lot of people take offense when I say that we shouldn't get rid of them. It's just like, no, you shouldn't get rid of them.
It's our history.
Yeah, you should feel bad about it, but I don't know, like people waving like a Confederate flag to
that's douchey.
That's, to me, it's just the same as if you were to wave an ISIS or a Nazi flag to me. It is literally a flag of treason. It's to the country that it was in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between not forgetting your past and
embellishing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shouldn't forget our past. We shouldn't forget, the things that happened. own your shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it. Like, have I had a lot of crappy stuff happen to me? Yeah. Own it. Own it for what it is. Make it yours.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up people calling me a beaner, you know, and that's a put down. You know, I own it. I own it. Am I one? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because I own it, you can't hurt me with it anymore. You know, own your shit. When, you know, look at the Jews. They have the pink triangle. Most people don't know the gay pride pink triangle. That was the symbol for gays in World War II. If you were in a concentration camp, they had a pink triangle that you had to put on your.
I didn't know that.
That's where that came from.
Them.
They took something negative and they owned it, and they made it one of theirs. You know, they're like, you know what? You want to label it with that? That's fine. We're gonna make it a positive.
Kind of like how you know, Ice Cube and his group, they took the N-word and made it into a positive.
Yeah.
Like before them, you know,
and
that wasn't a thing.
It's
and everything. Like
and
that.
they made it. They own it within their own culture.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, if you were to call me a beaner, is that gonna offend me? Yeah, because you don't have the right.
Yeah.
You know.
I actually have a fellow instance like this. Like,
yeah.
Like my family is from Louisiana. Like we've talked about this a little bit. A common slur that people use in Louisiana for other Louisianans. You know where I'm going with this, right?
I do. I do.
It's coon-ass. Like that's what we call each other. And one of my managers at a job that I won't say where, but he was also from Louisiana and found out that I was from Louisiana. And so he came up to me one day and he was just like, and like me, you couldn't hear it. Like you couldn't hear the Creole, you couldn't hear the Southern and everything like that. Like he had no accent just like me. So he came up and was just like, you know, like this is the first instance. Second instance is the one I almost got fired in. But we'll get right there. But so he comes up to me and he's just like, yeah, so you're from Louisiana, right? And I'm like, not technically, but that's where my family is. I spent a lot of time there. Been gator hunting a couple times, been crawfishing a couple times. And it's just like been mudding a couple times, you know. It's just, you can take the boy out of the South, but you can't take the South out of the boy. One of those things. And he was like, cool. And stuff like that. He's like, so you're a coon-ass, right? And everybody looked up at him and I got offended. Just because, you know, like, it was weird. Like, it's the first time that's ever happened to me. And I looked at him, I was just like, dude, you shouldn't say that. And, like, he was like, oh, dude, I'm from Louisiana, too. It was just like that.
And that made it okay.
That made it okay. And so, like, that's how we introduced each other. You know, like, we walk up, like, what up, coon-ass? Stuff like that. And one day, like, I walk in, and the manager is talking to the district manager. And I don't see him. I don't see the district manager. So the way he is, like, he's standing here, and, like, he's inside, like, a little room, and the district manager's standing on there.
Oh, I see it already.
And so, like, I literally, and dude told, I'm going to tell it from dude's perspective, too, because, like, me and him laughed about this for months. Other district manager, I have to put this in, but he was African-American descent. So, you know, he was black. So, you know, and like we've been doing this for months. It was cool because I had never said that to anyone just because, you know, it's so close to another slur.
Right.
So, but me and him just have that repertoire about us. He did it first, me and him, and that was just like our little joke, you know. So, I'm walking by and I see him, and just like out of context, I'm putting my backpack in my locker and stuff, and I'm like, "What up, coon ass?" And like I can put on my stuff to like go to my meat department. And, you know, that's even better. I'm putting my stuff on because I work in the meat department. And my district manager just hears me what he thinks is a racial slur toward his like, African-American descent. Mm-hmm. My manager said that his like, he went from smiling to just... And was like, you could see in his eyes that he was about to fire me on the fucking spot.
Oh, I bet.
And, like, manager grabbed, he's like, no. Let me explain. And he was just like, dude, he just called you the C word. You know, not the woman C word, but the black C word. He was like, no, he didn't. And he was just like, dude, I heard him. He was like, he called you, and he said he called you he didn't put the gas at the end,
Right.
you know? And so he was just like, yeah, he called me a coon ass because he is also a coon ass.
Right.
And it was just like, then it went from to just pure confusion.
Right.
And then you had to explain it for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. See, being from Houston, Louisiana's right there.
Yeah,
that's where we
real.
go for long weekends. You know, New Orleans is just, it's like people going to Atlanta here, you know? So yeah, so no, I grew up hearing that. Yeah, that's great.
I only said it like to certain individuals. Very rarely you'll hear me and Dustin call each other that. But like, yeah, me and this dude just have like a repertoire, and that's like.
I actually have heard it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think anything about it because you know. But you need to slow down.
I'm not feeling that much.
Oh, stand up, you'll feel it.
I'll sit back down real quick.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I got a Coke in here somewhere.
It's there. It's there. So
it also isn't helping that it's like sweating out and just causing the effects to have more.
See, I wouldn't be hot, but I'm drinking the tequila with the heat. Yeah.
Today we're doing the podcast in a sauna for everybody that doesn't know.
But you know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties are fine. You just work through them.
So yeah. So
back to con shit.
Sorry, we've gotten a bunch of, but that's what this podcast is really about.
And we don't get a lot of opportunity to just sit and talk.
Yeah.
And you're one of the few people that, like, I can say whatever I think and you don't get offended. And I can hear everything you have to say. And we can even disagree. And we're cool with that.
But we could come out as friends.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we understand that we're not going to agree 100% of the time.
If you do ever run away from that person.
Yeah. Like, they're faking it.
They're
faking it hardcore.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, like we talked about, like you met me pretty much. I think it was either day of
con.
It was day one.
Yeah,
that stuff happened and everything like that. And it was weird for me because like this last year has kind of like helped me deal with a lot of stuff that I've been going through personally with like my mental illness and like self-worth and stuff like that. Like when I came. You remember, I didn't talk to anybody.
You didn't.
I was very quiet. I was very shy.
I was so happy when you got on the show. So happy. I mean, yeah, I've watched you come out of your shell. I've watched you really, really, like, kind of blossom. Like, you're not afraid to speak your mind.
And, like, I'm glad that you, like, said that. Because, like, one of the things that, like, I really respect about you and that I've always respected about you.
No.
Even when something that you said, like, you know, it doesn't offend me, but it kind of, like, you know, it doesn't hurt. I don't know what the good word is. When you call me out on something, when you call me out, like, you know, you've done that at meetings and stuff like that. You call people out on their bullshit. You called me out on my bullshit and stuff like that. You're 100% sincere and you're 100% honest. Like, if I come up to you and I'm like, what's your opinion on this situation? You're going to give me 100% whether or not it hurts my feelings or not.
Yeah, and don't ask me if you don't want to know the truth.
Yeah, and I love that about you.
Well, good, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to, like I said before, I'll give you my opinion. If you ask me, that's fine. You don't have to take it. Yeah. You know, I'll give you advice if you ask me for it all day long. That doesn't mean you have to take it. I'm not going to get offended if you don't take it. There's many times where, like, I've told Mark, you know, I'm like, you don't need to do this, or this is a bad idea. But the con is still Mark's ultimately. Yeah. And I'm going to support the decision he makes, whether I like it or not. You know, it's your life. You have to make those decisions. I'm going to be there for you, whatever your decision is. If somebody is giving you advice, you don't take it, and then they get offended, that's on them. Yeah. Now, there will be times where I'm like, okay, I've told you how I feel. I told you how I see this going. Yeah. If you don't want to listen and it falls apart, then you will have to pick up those pieces. But I tell you that up front.
Yeah, for real. And that's why I like, and you might not know this, but like, I actually, like, as fun as it was, I had a very weird birthday this year. Like, a lot of mixed emotions.
I know. And I felt so bad about it.
Yeah. But, No, but you and like other people in the con, like that's where like this family shit came apart. Because like with other cons, I don't think people would have taken the time out to make sure I was okay. You made sure I was okay. I mean, Dustin and Brian are gonna make sure that I'm okay either wise. Emmy made sure I was okay. Everybody that I'm really close and associated with, like we're always like looking out for each other's emotions and stuff, emotionally and stuff like that.
I mean, like, I know if something happens, you guys have my back, and I have yours too. You guys mean a lot to me, and that's rare. Yeah. Because everybody knows. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks.
Yeah. For real.
I really don't. I don't care who likes me and who doesn't like me. There comes a point where you don't have to like me, but you have to respect me for what I do.
Yeah.
But I don't care. It's like, we joke about it, but I volunteer to be the bitch for Metrotham.
Yeah.
When it comes to calling people out, most of you guys are too nice. And you don't say, hey, you're not pulling your weight.
Or, hey, you're being really offensive right now.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
So, there's been times when people have come to me and being like, well, so-and-so did this, and it really bothers me. I will go talk to you about it because I expect to have a conversation.
Yeah.
If we're having a meeting and we're talking about where we all are on doing things for the con, my job is to make sure you guys are doing your job so that Mark doesn't have to.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you out on it because publicly, if you're telling me you're doing your job, publicly I'm going to tell you when you're feeding me a line of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because, if you want to make it public, I will too. If you want to make it private, I don't mind doing that. There's been many a times I've sat several of our people down and been like, hey, if you need help, you need to come tell me.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable with the job that we gave you, you need to tell me. That's how we work as a team. That's what this is about. We don't want anybody getting burned out or getting over their head. Trust me, I've done it. I've done cons for over 30 years.
You told me stuff. It's just like, dude, how did you do all that?
It's just, I had support, but it also, like, it took me a long time to go back and go, yeah, when that happened, I was burned out and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
That's why I see it in people. Like, we have a couple of our people that I'm real careful because I'm afraid they're getting burned out. For a while we had people that the same people did everything for us. And I was like, I'm going to call it the whole group. You need to step up. If you want to be part of this, step up. Do what you need to do.
Yeah, because, like, again, I came first year. And like, after that, I tried to, like, everything that I was called to do.
And I told you, I was like, you need to step back. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
I constantly trying to take things from Mark because Mark is always doing too much. Let's just face it.
Yeah, Mark is a workhorse, but even a workhorse needs like a day.
Exactly.
Like, it's Animal Farm. Sometimes.
Yeah. So, so it's like, and I guess the way I look at it is I don't mind if I offend people because if I offend you, why? Why did it offend you? If you've done something wrong, admit it. Own your shit. I mean, and am I perfect? By no means. I expect people to call me out on my shit too. And they have. And I appreciate it. It's like one of the big reasons why I kind of don't just come in and take over things and like be like, well, I'll just do it, is because I've been told it seems like you're stepping on people's toes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really not trying to. I'm just not a procrastinator.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to go in and get it done and have it over with. And I'd rather, have 2 weeks to relax than get it all together. You're a procrastinator.
Oh, for sure.
No
defense whatsoever.
So it would be really easy for me to, come in there and be like, well, you haven't done this, so I'll just go ahead and do all this for you.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I have to step away. And it's like I told all of you, especially like Dustin and Brian, because, at first they didn't like me. Yeah. We're great now, but at first they were like, I don't know who the hell she is. She needs to go the hell away.
I think I helped a little bit with that.
You did. I really think you did. But they also got to know me, and they were like, okay, well, she knows what the fuck she's talking about.
I remember, like, one time it was just like we were talking about it, and, like, your name got brought up because, like, it was, like, after a name. I won't say what was said because,
Oh, I don't care. They probably already told me.
But they were like this and that and this and that. I'm like, yeah, dude, but you can't deny the fact that she doesn't know her shit. When she says this stuff, it's not coming out of her ass. Like, she means everything she says, and she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. one of them and I sat down and he was like, oh, I straight up was like, she's a fucking bitch.
I know exactly which one it was.
And I was like, and that's okay. I was like,
Yeah.
but I hope you realize, I wasn't trying to be a bitch, but, you weren't wanting to hear me because you didn't know me. And he was like, well, actually, everything you said then was right on.
Yeah.
And you're right. I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was talking out my ass.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm not offended. I mean, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's like, one of my friends made a joke years ago, and I've loved it. Somebody called me a bitch, and he was like, no, you don't understand. She takes bitch to a whole new level. She is the bitch goddess. And
as far as vampires go, like, you're like the main bitch, pretty much.
I mean, and my hardest thing is that I don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
Because if you get all your shit done early, then you get to relax. And if something goes wrong, you can take care of it.
That's one, like, because, like, especially, like, people that I respect, I try to emulate things for them. And that's, like, one of the things I've tried to emulate from you.
Well, thank you.
Like, your non-procrastination. Because, like, I know that I'm fucking infuriating sometimes when it comes to my procrastination.
You are not the worst. You really aren't. You really are not the worst one. But I've seen you get better at that over the past year. And I think the show helped you a lot, because you had to be ready for that. And you didn't like being unprepared for it. You wanted to get here a little bit early, made sure everything was set up. You wanted to make sure y'all had gone over notes, and that was good.
Yeah.
There's flying by the seat of your pants, which works for some people. It stresses me out. I don't want to stress.
And that was, like, the really cool thing with, like, Emmy. Like, especially, like, when we would cover talk. I'm really, like, especially, like, with her, like, I'm really good at just flying and just, like, making jokes, just doing this.
But you also know that she's done the preparing.
Yeah.
And I don't think you realize you actually were doing a lot of the preparing before Emmy. You started that. Because I remember one time I was actually really impressed because you were like, hey, I texted you my list. Have you looked at it yet? And it was like a Sunday at one of our meetings. And you were like, yeah, I texted you on Thursday. And I was like, yay! my baby's growing.
It's not always like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But and we all have our moments.
Yeah, especially, like, the thing that was, like, really, really cool about becoming friends with Emmy and everything was, the first time me and her pretty much had a conversation, like, had a one-on-one conversation, was 5 minutes before our first episode started filming. Like, that was the first time me and her had ever discussed anything, talked about anything. We had, like, messaged each other about our list, and you can tell from, like, the first episode we did with each other.
Yeah.
And, like, like, sometimes Brian, after the show, Brian, Dustin, and Mark would, like, be on me. He's like, you guys need to have more chemistry. I'm like, it doesn't happen immediately, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
it takes time.
And then Dustin and Brian had the audacity to be like, well, me and you, we know we did. I was like, you guys have been friends for years.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know this person yet. I was like, I can't.
It even took time with you and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, that makes sense. But we saw you guys grow together, We saw the inside jokes, even though we didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And that was great. We saw that relationship develop. It's funny because when I met Emmy, she had actually emailed me about being part of the con because she wanted to bring Idol Fest. And I was all for it. And I was like, let's get you on the show. Let's get you on the live feed. You guys come do your thing. It'll be great. And I was like, and as soon as she gets there, they're going to steal her from me. Because as soon as I talked to her, it's like, I want her as my second. I want her as my second for programming. I was like, they're going to steal her.
Yeah.
And they did. So, but I was glad because it's a good fit for her. I still got her as my second, though.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know if you heard the story of me trying to do that for, like, when I actually become... There's talks of, like, me heading and stuff like that.
Who do you think kind of helps pushing that through?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's just like... I don't like sounding like I'm bragging about myself, but I've literally, like, been here for a year, and I feel like I've pretty much like found my place, pretty much.
You put the work in, and that's what's important. And anything you do, if you commit to something, just follow through with it. I give, like you said, very honest feedback, and Mark and I have a lot of conversations. I tell him when I start worrying about people, and I'm like, we need to reach out to these people. We need to put more responsibility on these people. We need to do this and see how they respond to it. And yeah, you're one of the people. I'll be honest, I would never put you in programming because you have to be OCD.
Yeah, no,
you're not OCD.
Not at all. Absolutely not.
I'm very overly organized. Like I have 4 spreadsheets with 4 different permanent schedules we had. I have 4 notebooks with handwritten schedules that we had. And the schedule is a changing thing. It changes on a constant basis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. But, you deal with it.
Yeah, you gotta deal with it. Have I ever told you the only time I've ever been mad on the set? Like, ever been upset with people? Like,
I think
on the
I
set?
know this story, but I'm not sure.
Like, I said it last week,
Yes.
It was the first time I met
Lieris.
Yeah,
and it was supposed to be here, and it got moved to Game On.
No, like, they didn't even tell me that we were interviewing, because, like, this is the last bit of information I got, because, we're having Boruto at our convention. And, well, we were.
Yeah.
Are we still? Yeah, she's still coming.
Amanda's still coming.
Okay,
she just wasn't going to be able to come depending on COVID.
Yeah, and so, like, the last thing they told me was, like, all right, since you know more about the Naruto universe than Emmy, you need to watch Boruto and come up with a top 5 Boruto list. And I was like, I fucking hate Boruto. So I literally said this on the first one, but, like, literally get there, did all my research for the week, came up with my thing. It was actually a list that I was like, dude, I actually did a really good job on this list, And so first they texted me because I came here first, and I was just like, nobody's here. And they're just like, and then like they were like, yo, it's at the
Game On.
It's at Game On and everything. And I'm like, well, shit. So I still think we're doing the Boruto list. We're just like doing an on-set location. And so I drive there. I get there like 10...
I was there.
Yeah. I get there like, 10, 15 minutes before the show's about to start? And they're just like, oh, yeah, you're interviewing someone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could have slapped everybody in that room that night. I was so mad.
Now, I will take some of the responsibility for that because there wasn't a streamline of communication.
Yeah.
So I had talked to Lieris, and she was going to be on the show, but I talked to Mark. And I didn't think to also tell Dustin and Brian and you, because I'm thinking it's going to come down. And then I talked to Game On, and they were like, yeah, when do you want to do it? And it's like, you want to come this Monday? I was like, talk to Mark. And, but we've got things better organized now.
Yeah, I felt like that was like the only day I was like really bitchy, pretty much.
And
yeah.
You could tell because I was like, well, I've never seen him mad before. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be quiet, stand over here in the corner.
I think I still did a pretty good show.
I think you did. I really think you did. It went off, and she really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and
now she's one of our hosts.
Yeah, and now she's on the show permanently. You know.
I can't wait for I can't, because we always cross do guests and everything like that, and she is such a. She's hilarious. She's so funny.
She's so shy at first.
Yeah.
But then when you get her talking, she's great. She's amazing.
The first episode they did together, where it was her, Emmy, and
Mika.
I'll get there, guys. I'm sorry, but
just think of Pikachu. It's
Mika, Linares, Emmy.
Yes.
All right, I know Emmy. Emmy's up there, but I was literally in that chair cackling at Lieris and Mika and Emmy. They were all just being hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yes. I was just like, this is gonna be great.
They have really good chemistry.
Yeah.
And they don't compete for the attention.
Mm-hmm.
They give it to each other.
Yeah.
And that comes across. Because, you know, I watch most episodes. Every once in a while, like last episode, I actually haven't watched it yet because I was on my way home from here while it was on. But it's on my thing as soon as I have time to watch.
I can't remember the last subject me and Amy covered.
I don't remember. Y'all have done. Oh no, I do, because I was making fun of you guys because like it's all Batman.
Oh yeah. Oh, we forgot to set it up, but the reason why we did like a really heavy Batman episode was because like so much Batman news got released that week.
I know, but y'all left out all the good stuff. Okay, so I'm a Marvel girl because, you know, I grew up with the X-Men. My brother read them, so I read them. You know, and I can rattle off some Marvel stuff about X-Men and other characters in that universe. You know, my favorite characters are weird ones. It's Magic and Dazzler. You know, and I can back up the Dazzler story, you know?
Yeah.
But
I'm simple. My favorite Marvel character is Gambit. So
okay, but she dated Gambit.
Huh?
She dated Gambit.
Yeah.
Her and Rogue fought over him.
Yeah.
You know?
I know this.
And you know, but there's so much with her backstory. But then the DC, I love a big part of DC, and there's certain ones that, you know, I feel like get left off. Like, you know, nobody talks about the Dark Horse comic, which is DC. And Dark Horse is more than Batman. So, you know, I got to get you guys, like, that's where Sandman came from.
I thought Dark Horse was its own separate entity.
DC owns them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were their own separate entity.
Well, I mean, no. They've always...
always been DC?
Yeah, they wanted to... I believe they've always been owned by DC, but they wanted, like, a certain style to be that. That's, you know, darker things, not necessarily for kids. Like Sandman. Sandman is not a kid's comic. So
I haven't read Sandman yet, but I've been wanting to for years. I've heard nothing but great things about Sandman.
There's another author I got to meet because of Dragon Con, and he is amazing in and of himself. And there's lots of stories I can tell you about Neil, but you know, I got in, I mean, Sandman and Death, and I mean, one of the original of the family from that, because they all have a D. So there's Death, Destruction, or not Destruction, Destiny. Destiny was in Superman way back in the day.
Like one of the movies or the show?
No, one of the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like one of the old ones. Delirium, that whole family. Like there's all these comics about them. And there's a lot of like DC did a lot of the things like some of the TV shows that became comics. That's DC. You know, DC did a lot of those. Some of them are independent, but some of them are done by DC. DC has done a lot that they don't get credit for. So it's like, made me a little sad that all y'all talked about was Batman and Catwoman, and like there's so many more.
I mean, we pretty much said that we were doing like a Gotham.
Yeah, but even with Gotham, they've expanded that universe so much.
Yeah,
you know that a lot of it gets overlooked because Batman overshadows everything.
I can't remember who it was, but someone wanted us to put Penguin on the list, and I was like, absolutely not.
Well, you know, I mean, even look at the Teen Titans.
Teen Titans is amazing. Yeah.
You know, look at all that. They get overshadowed because of Batman.
Remember. That's not based in. They're not based in Gotham, are they?
No, Robin left Gotham to get out on his own and form the Teen Titans outside of Gotham.
Yeah.
But they're still the same world.
Yeah, for real.
Same
universe, same everything.
Yeah.
That's like one of like the big things about me is they never like had any. They only had one crossover event, and it was with the Doom Patrol with Beast Boy.
Yeah.
Batman never showed up in Teen Titans.
No.
And I always wanted to see that interaction.
I did too.
Between like the Teen Titans, Dick Grayson, and Batman.
No, they did. They talked a couple times about
They
where
alluded
like,
to him.
yeah, where like he would go see Batman.
Yeah.
They would talk about it, but he was never in it.
Yeah.
And I get it. They didn't want Batman to take over that comic.
Yeah.
And he would have.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Batman just has that power. Like,
yeah.
I used to. I can't remember where I put all of them. My favorite thing, like with collecting comics and stuff, like how I started out. Like I pretty much started collecting comics when I was like 22, 23.
Okay.
And pretty much what I would do is I would go to McKay's and pretty much like other things, and I would just like pick out what looked cool to me and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I got a lot of like the early detective comics.
Nice.
Like before Batman comics were Batman comics,
Yeah.
they were detective comics. And I think they actually at least for like a series, they went back to that name.
They did. They brought it back, and then I don't think it went over well.
But I actually had one that DC tries to get rid of. It was one with the Voodoo King.
Okay.
And
yeah,
like
the Voodoo
very
King's an awesome character.
Yeah, very very racially charged comic. Like at one point he like back even like I think this comic one I want to say it came out like maybe 71 or 72, maybe.
Okay, that's even before me.
Yeah. So, but like pretty much he was calling like he literally tells his son to like grab his medicine and it's just a joint, and he lights it up and starts smoking it.
Yeah.
There's that famous cover where it's a Batman and Green Arrow comic, and
oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
He's like doing I think it's H.
I think it's Aaron, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
And like, like the cover comment is just like, Batman pointing at him to Green Arrow, like, look at it, your psychic's on the hooch or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like some of the terms we used to use for things.
Oh yeah.
Like, like back in like the 40s or 50s, if you like pretty much the equality of calling someone a son of a bitch was just like saying Jiminy Cricket to them.
I've heard weird ones, but I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah.
So that's actually funny.
Jiminy Cricket used to be just like a complete slur.
So that brings a whole new perspective to Pinocchio.
Yeah, like if you look at it, Jiminy Cricket is like just supposed to be kind of like this. Like if you look at him objectively, like especially for the time it came out, he's supposed to just like represent like a homeless drunk dude, pretty much.
Yeah.
Especially if you go back and watch it as an adult, which I'm a huge Disney person.
Me too.
I don't know if we've ever talked about Disney.
We barely have touched on it, and we were both like, yes. Yeah. And classic Disney.
I grew up on it.
Yeah, it's classic Disney is good. Do I think they've become an evil empire? Yeah, sure. But anything that gets
half and half.
Yeah. Anything that gets that big is gonna, get corruption.
And like me and Emmy even had a conversation on the show one time, and he goes like, Disney has stolen like a lot of properties. What do you think about that? And I'm like, look, here's my thing with Disney. Disney makes really good entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm in Disney for. That's why I'm into them. I don't care. Like the reason why they were able to buy out Fox, the reason why they were able to buy out Marvel, the reason why they were able to buy out all these other companies is because they're successful.
Right.
And you can't blame them for that, for being successful.
Right. But you also, they do have shady things they do.
Absolutely.
Book of Life. That's all I'm going to say. Book of Life. That in and of itself shows you how dirty they are.
Yeah, Book of Life, that was...
It is not a Disney show. It is taking a Mexican heritage about the Day of the Dead, and it's about like Mexican lore and things, and it was done by Hispanics. It was done by Latinos. They put it out, and it's a high quality movie. And then Disney basically couldn't buy it from them because they're like, no, we want to keep it. We want to own it. It's ours, our blood, sweat, and tears. And so Disney made... can't even remember the name of it now.
Coco?
Yes. Which is, they took the basic plot,
movie.
They took the basic plot and twisted it so it wasn't directly copying them. But they didn't even have plans of making this movie until Book of Life came out.
Oh, dude, Coco was like...
Go back and watch Book of Life.
Oh
I'm telling you
God.
now, it will blow it out of the water.
I've never even heard of Book of Life.
My gosh. Yes, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of the independent cartoons. Like one of the best experiences of my life was I got to meet one of the Hanna-Barbera voice actors when I was in high school.
Yeah.
He did 5 Smurfs, including Papa Smurf and Baby Smurf. But what he was famous for is he was a thespian.
Thespian?
Shakespeare actor.
Okay.
He owned the Shakespeare Theater in Virginia. And I got to go there for a summer and be part of that and learn acting there for a summer while I was in school. He was amazing. I met him right after he had brain surgery, and I was talking to him, and I was like, well, because he had performed some things for us. I was like, I was a little disappointed because you didn't do the shrew, and that's my favorite Shakespeare piece. And so he just started popping off lines, and we did lines there, backstage with nobody around. And then he's like, well, you know what I do, like, to pay the bills? I work for Hanna-Barbera. And he's like in so many of their cartoons. And he was like, but I can't believe you knew all those lines from the shrew. And he invited me to come. You normally have to audition. And I got to go. I was by no means even close to being middle grade talent there, but it was an amazing experience, and he was so amazing. But that was my first voice actor that got me into the voices I'm hearing on TV. I met Papa Smurf,
That's awesome.
And that's where that started for me.
Yeah, and I hate to bring it back to this, but even as even a fan of the Harvey stuff and everything like that, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons and everything like that, that's just, again, all the characters that were introduced in Scoob for me were just like a smack in the face.
And I get that.
Why does Blue Beetle have to come out too? All I do is win.
But think of it this way. When a pup named Scooby-Doo came out,
yeah,
it was a slap in my face.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, I had to go back and think of it. But they're trying to get, what would have been your generation into Scooby-Doo. That's what it was for. It was designed to be for the younger kids. That's what Scoob is for. It's designed so that younger kids can be introduced to it and be there for them. It's for their generation, not ours.
Yeah.
Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, slap in the face. But
it was initially, but for what Teen Titans Go is...
Oh, don't even go there. It's
okay.
Campy. It was ridiculous. The original Teen Titans was serious and beautifully drawn.
Beautifully long story drawn.
Yeah, serious cartoon,
But, Teen Titans Go wasn't that. It was a sitcom, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. They made it for a younger generation.
Yeah.
The same thing with Scoob. You got to remember, they're not wanting you to watch it.
Yeah, but my only argument is no one 20 years from now will love Scoob like I still love a pub named Scooby-Doo or Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You got to remember, because it's their introduction.
Yeah.
Just like a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Wasn't my introduction.
I know it wasn't, but it was for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they love it. They go back and look at it and like, oh my God, it's so bad.
My original exposure was the original 60s cartoon.
Because somebody did something right.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's, I go back and look at things, and you got to remember, I was around when the original Care Bears came out, when the original My Little Ponies came out, Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright. That's all 80s stuff.
Yeah.
That's when I was my growing years.
My generation,
And then you had the 90s stuff. And that's when I was raising my child, and I felt like the intelligence level downgraded in a lot of it, but that was my opinion, and I had to learn. Current stuff isn't made for me. Mm-hmm. It's not for the love of what I had. It's to get new people into it, the kids into it.
Yeah. And also, it just made me really, really sad with how bad I thought it was.
Is it bad? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so bad.
There is a Tinder joke.
There's
okay.
Tinder. What about when Dick Dastardly is saying his name?
Right.
It's just like, my name is Dick. Dick. ... Dick. And it's just like, all right, you had to get that joke in there. I see that. And why the fuck was Simon Cowell in that goddamn movie? Dude, if I wasn't reviewing the movie for the show, as soon as Simon Cowell showed his face on the TV, click.
But there again, it's not made for us. The kids love him. Kids love him because
what is he in anymore?
Well, he owns all those shows, and he still does America. Is it America's Got Talent?
So is he still Judge shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, those are all his.
Yeah.
And he does the England and the U.S.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying he's a bad person.
Right, but when he does
like
the
Simon
kids,
Cowell.
he is one of the ones, like, it's like Gordon Ramsay. When Gordon Ramsay's with the kids, he's a different person.
Yeah.
You know, kids love him. Shocks me too, but they do. So, I mean, you know, you got to remember, they didn't make it for you to watch.
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, they didn't make Teen Titans Go for me to watch, you know.
But also they failed in a lot of aspects because like they try to put too much money into it, like with their actors and stuff like that.
I'm not arguing the points, but it's not for us.
It's not for me. Like, I get it. Like, there are totally movies that I loved as a child, and I will go back and watch them now, and I'm just like, I was a fucking moron as a child to enjoy this.
I mean, you know,
the biggest one for me. Have you, in recent years, watched Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Scorpion King?
I hated it when it came out. I still hate it.
When I was a kid, that was one of me and Brian's movies, dude. Like,
see,
yeah,
you had bad taste too.
Yeah,
all children have bad taste. Let them have their movie.
Although I will say that it did make my day when my two younger cousins came into town, and just to prove a point and to be that asshole,
right,
we watched Scoop, and they were just like, "This movie's," and they were like me because you know they're.
But it wasn't made for that age group.
Yeah, my uncle who exposed me to the '60s Scooby-Doo is their dad. So they grew up with Scooby-Doo, so maybe that's not fair, but...
Yeah, I mean, but it's also made for more like the 6-7-year-olds.
Yeah, one of them is, no, one of them's 11.
Yeah, they're much older than what their target audience was. So, you know, you got to remember that. You know, you got to be like, okay, this wasn't made for me, and, you know, like, if they're trying to hit your age bracket and it's bad, like you guys talked about Twilight, okay? Here was my issue with Twilight. Was it badly written?
I thought Twilight was dog shit.
Well, the writing itself was actually not bad. Here's my biggest thing for it. That is not a teen book. That is for adults. And who is it marketed to?
Teenage girls.
And that was the worst thing they could have done. That was my problem with it. I mean, come on. If it was good, 50 Shades of Grey would not come up for it.
So you know about that?
Yes. Yeah, it started out as fan fiction for Twilight.
Yeah.
I think Twilight, the story itself, if that had been written for adults, I would have been like, all right, it's just bad romance. But they didn't write it for adults. They wrote it for teenage girls, and that was BS.
Yeah, I remember, like, because, full disclosure, I read Twilight
to pick up a girl.
To have a shot with a girl, pretty much. Yeah.
I read it because my son's friends were reading it. And anything they were into, I wanted to understand it.
Yeah.
So I read all the books because they were so into it, and then I got them to talk to me about it. Yeah, I know, I'm one of those annoying parents. But I was just like, why do you like it? Yeah. You know, what's so great about it? You know, it was a very bad, toxic love triangle.
Yeah, for sure. Like, very toxic.
And they were promoting this to teenage girls. What the fuck?
Yeah, I especially loved Robert Pattinson, and every time he was interviewed on it, he's pretty much, I'm just doing this for a check. I think Edward will go down in history as my worst character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and
it's just like, I feel like this dude's a 125-year-old fucking creep.
Yeah. I mean, it was... Yeah, I mean, a full adult hitting on this high school girl.
Yeah.
And, yeah, let's not even go there, because it's not a teen book, and that's what they put it out for.
For sure. And, like, there were a couple other books that, like, especially, like, people were into, and, like, I would, like, read a couple chapters, but I learned my mistake from Twilight. The meanest I have ever been to a woman in a movie theater, because, like I said... I read Twilight, so I read all the books in a week. But, my mom would walk into the living room, notice me reading the book, and like she too was just like, you know, what are you reading? Because, you know, like, I read, actually, because of her, like, I read some of Stephen King's, like, early, like,
short stories.
Short stories. short stories. Like I got a hold of some of his short stories. Like I can't remember which one, but it's the one with Stand By Me in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ones that it appears in because I had that one and it also had Thinner in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And love his short stories, hate his novels.
I'm the opposite. I love his novels, and he's one of my. As an adult, he's one of my favorite novelists.
Here's my issue with it. I get very bored. He'll spend a whole chapter talking about this tree. Okay, I've got this whole chapter. This tree has to be important, and it's all this, and then it never comes up again in the series. And there was no fucking point to it. Yeah. Why did you make me spend
that's cocaine.
chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That. Oh no. Give me a point. Don't just put a chapter in to make it longer. Give me a point.
Like I will easily say that it is Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
It's so hard to talk about that book and for people to keep up with you about it.
I read the end, and I read a little bit in the middle, but I got very bored. I've never been able to finish Tommyknockers.
Really?
I've never gotten past chapter 3.
I've never read Tommyknockers, so.
Oh my god, I haven't gotten past.
That's one of my mom's least favorite books by him.
But his short stories are amazing. He's very concise. Mm-hmm. He's very careful with his words.
And his books are even getting better because, he's not drugged out anymore and stuff like that.
Well, see, here's my thing. I feel like they used to be like, okay, for every 500 pages, you get paid this much. So he would just jam-pack words in to get 3,000 pages to get a bigger paycheck when the story was 1,000 words long.
Yeah.
Give me that 1,000 words.
But the main reason I like it is the book is better than any adaptation that's ever been made about it.
Darker too.
Way darker. The last Trial of True chapter, Jesus fucking Christ. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you're talking about descriptive where things don't need to be descriptive.
Yeah.
Dude, I literally thought the fucking SWAT team was going to bust into my shit while I was reading that chapter. Like, it was making me nervous to read that chapter. But, what was I going to say? The thing that I really hate about the movies, I can concur and say that the new movies are good movies. They completely fucked Mike up. They fucked Mike's character up so bad.
And I don't know enough to know that.
So, first of all, Mike's parents didn't die. Mark.
Okay. But that was a big thing in the book.
No, Mark. No, the black one.
Okay. Sorry, I got characters confused.
Yeah, you're good. But his parents were alive, and there was a whole thing that because another thing is they didn't make Henry Bauer's character make sense because they just had him be this evil fucking kid. His dad was a law-abiding police officer citizen in the movie, but in the book he was a drug user, an abusive father. Didn't even have enough time to mostly feed his kid. Henry had to go to the neighbors and stuff usually for a warm meal and stuff. So Stephen King has a really especially for some characters, because you hate them, but you feel really sympathetic toward them and everything, so you don't realize it's their fault. And Mike is the one, because of his dad and everything like that. Mike in the book is the one. I would almost say that Mike's the main character in the book.
Okay, yeah,
that's what I would almost say. And because his dad talks about the other times where strange things happen, the boiler exploding that killed over 200 children. They found heads in trees and stuff like that.
I read that part, believe it or not. That was one of the ones I opened up to and read.
And how in the movie they said his parents died in that fire. That fire's alluded to, but his dad is actually the one that caused a hole where a lot of people would come out. Okay. And his dad saw it, Pennywise, as a bird, literally, because it was a bunch of Klansmen that did it.
Okay.
Because that's another big thing. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I've read it, but I'm pretty sure when they're adults in the book, it's the 50s, and when they're kids, it's the 30s.
Something like that. I don't remember the timeline, but yeah.
Yeah, and So like like it goes like really into like the racial and everything like that, and what a lot of people got mad about in the movies, which I actually understood it. Like everybody that says Pennywise is homophobic is so full of shit to me that it's painful.
The little bit I read, I didn't pick that up, so I didn't understand all that.
Well, like they changed it in the movie because Bill Skarsgård's character, you know, Trash Mouth Tom,
I don't
like
know.
that. But his character, they made him like closetly gay.
Right.
Like he's in the closet in the movie. I didn't have a problem with that because it's never really that character's sexuality is never really alluded to.
Yeah.
So
does it matter?
It doesn't matter to me one fucking bit. But like
that's something else we need to talk about.
Yeah, I don't give a shit what you're attracted to, but pretty much like he came down and was like, I know your secret, your dirty little secret, was like teasing his character as an adult for being gay. And it was just like, yeah, and he also killed those gay people. He also killed that gay dude in the beginning. And I'm like, first off, the dude in the beginning, he didn't kill him. The townspeople killed him. Like he was already dead. Like he already had too much damage. It goes into detail in the book.
Gotcha.
And then he tears his heart out through his chest, which does kill him. But it was just like for Pennywise to come back into for it to come back into our realm in the book and everything like that. I think something of violence has to happen. Violence and hatred has to bring Pennywise into our world. Okay. And Pennywise feeds off fear.
Yeah, much I knew.
So, like, the thing is, like, when he goes down to, Bill Skarsgård's character and is teasing him for being gay, Pennywise doesn't give a shit that he's gay. Right. He gives a shit that he's gay. He's closeted. He's afraid of being outed. Right. And Pennywise is playing that fear because he literally feeds on
And that
fear.
makes more sense because, yeah. So...
Also, he ate 2 fucking kids in that movie, okay? I'm sorry to be that guy, but and also like even if he was homophobic, he's the bad guy. Isn't that a characteristic you want a bad guy to have?
Yeah, I mean, the bad guy's the bad guy. Yeah. It's like everybody's talking about like okay, Matt Mercer, back to him. He plays the bad guy. Your DM is the bad guy. He's a great bad guy. Somebody was making the joke the other day about 2020 was 2 critical roles, and I'm like. Yeah, the DM rolled him. Yeah. That's why it sucks. The DM rolled him. The bad guys got the critical hits, know? But because you said, you don't give 2 shits about who's gay or whatever, that made me think back to our con. Because we are so diverse inside of our con. Mm-hmm. We have everybody, and we welcome everybody, and nobody gives 2 shits.
Yeah, we have gay people, we have trans people.
We have all colors, we have all religions, we have every walk of life, and nobody gives a shit.
I'm anti-shitty people. I'm completely racist against shitty people.
Yeah. And Mark Olson says, why does it matter? For us, it doesn't. Yeah. But the world we live in does. Yeah. And that sucks. But I love the fact that we're that diverse and we have each other's back. Because even if we don't agree with each other, we still have each other's backs. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There have been plenty of times where like me and Brian disagree more than we agree. I don't know if you noticed about us. Yeah.
Brian disagrees with a lot of people. And then he comes around and he's like, we're good now, right? Yeah. But we're good, right? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we're good. we're good.
Don't
I
worry.
Promise, we're good.
Everyone gets your macho man mentality, all right?
It's like, I love Dustin and Brian, but they crack me up because
me and Brian have been friends for like
I know
over 20 years.
Yeah. I knew you guys had been friends forever. Mm-hmm. And then Dustin came in later.
Brian moved to Nashville about, I might be overshooting this, but at this point it might have been like 5 or 6 years ago. Okay. And he moved there with a friend that he met when he lived in Columbus, like right after we graduated high school. And Dustin was living there too. And that's how Brian and Dustin met. 3 years later, like, I'm kind of like going through like a bad spell with everything that was going on around me at the time, and Brian was just like, dude, you just, because I had never left. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 20,
Right.
but I had never left my hometown. I always moved here to here to here, and I never really had a change of scenery or anything like that. And so he was just like, dude,
I can imagine.
move to Nashville. He was like, move. He was like, you need it. You need. That's the reason why you're depressed all the time. It's because you're so bored about the.
Sorry, I had to say it.
We're getting better.
It is getting better.
Yes.
One of my best friends moved away because he had really bad depression. As soon as he moved away, it was pretty much gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's getting better. I've seen it grow. I've seen it change. And it was hard for me because I came from Houston, and there's so much culture and so much diversity and so much to do. And then I came here, and everything cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
You know, like you didn't have to pay to go to the zoo. The Houston Zoo is massive. You know?
Yeah, I remember I got made fun of like by my ex because you know, I went to Chicago to spend before Corona and everything. That's why she was my ex. But she was in Japan. She came back. She came down for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we spent it in Chicago.
Right.
And we went to the zoo one day, and we're literally getting to the counter of the zoo, and I walk up to what I think is like the ticket place, right? And I'm like pulling out my wallet, and like she's just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" 'Cause I was just like, "Well, I have to pay for my ticket," and she was like,
"Yeah,
the zoo's free. Is the zoo not free where you're from?"
But we don't have the money to support it like they do in the big cities.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
And I get it.
I mean, when I moved here, the pollution was
atrocious.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, the thinking was completely backwards. You know, just so much about it, and they've improved a lot. And they're getting more open-minded, and they're understanding that everything doesn't fit in this box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's better. I mean, I moved here in high school.
I literally think I literally think that people like in our politics, especially like in the last year and a half, like have responded as best as they can in the situations that they have been dealt with.
Yes, I agree.
The whole way that our police chief responded against police brutality and even made the Chattanooga law that if you're an officer and you watch an officer kill someone because they're not following the guidelines, you are just as responsible as that.
He's not playing the good old boy.
Yeah.
Which is what they do here. Yeah. You know, and he's not, and I appreciate that, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also the city's starting to work together. It's not so much of it's this group and this group and this group. They're realizing we're Chattanooga. We have to work together. We have to pull together. And that's wonderful. And it's being reflected in a lot of things that happen, like Metrotham Con. We are a melting pot, like we should be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's bringing people together of every walk of life. You know, we're not going like you go to Chattacon, you go because it's literary.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to Dragon Con, it's because it's got so much. Now it's too big. You know, we have everything. You know, we touch on everything, and I think
like me and Mark were talking about it like last week. We want to be all inclusive.
Yeah.
We want there to be something for everybody to do. It doesn't matter what your nerdum really is.
Exactly,
you know?
Because like my nerdums are so varied. Because, you know, like, I mean, obviously I'm from Texas, so a lot of sports, and I was very athletic and things like that. So I'm not following football like most Texans, but if you make me come down to it, I used to be real big into Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Then they got a little bit too big for their britches. They got a little big head, you know. I love the Green Bay Packers. Not because they're a great team, which they're not a bad team, but how the team itself works. Because the city owns them. The people that live there own them. And they interact with their fans. And they make it a family. So that's why I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
Who do I normally cheer for? Dallas. I mean, I'm from Houston. You know,
I grew up as a Dallas fan, and
the rest of my family Texans.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, we sold the Oilers to Tennessee. They went to the Super Bowl as the Tennessee Oilers, and I was so pissed. Yeah, the first year they were still the Oilers. They didn't change their name to the Titans until the second year.
Like, wow. It's kind of like how the Jazz started off in New Orleans because it was New Orleans, but then they moved to Utah. Now they're still the Utah Jazz.
It makes no sense.
I'm like, yeah, Utah. Yeah. You're so well known for your jazz music. Tell me more, you sons of bitches.
But so I mean,
meanwhile, New Orleans, the fucking Pelicans.
Yeah, the Texans are a good team.
Yeah.
But see, I like soccer and I like hockey, and I don't follow teams. I follow players. I stopped watching. I had a tragedy happen a while back, and I stopped watching a lot of it. So I'm just now getting back into it. Some of my players are gone. I'm a little sad about it. But I have to say though, like our Chattanooga team for soccer, let me tell you, we have an amazing team. They made Ash, I wish you were right here to answer it, but they actually won like a national thing. But I don't think it was national. I think it was like global. Like, and I can't even remember exactly what it is now. But yeah, we have a good team here. We have some good things that people don't support. But yeah, soccer and hockey are my sports. Love them. They're my, they're my go-to things because come on, they're violent.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
My favorite things to watch nowadays are I really like to watch basketball.
Basketball's fun.
Pretty much a roommate that I had that I've been friends with since high school, who I don't know if you've met him, but he's actually been here for some of the live show. He's Alec.
I met him once.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is me and him have been friends for a long time, and he's actually pretty much the guy who taught me about basketball. Like taught me the ins and outs, taught me like the old players. He could talk to you like 5 hours about basketball. Like he's just a basketball nerd, and I love him for it because he gave me my love of basketball back. But,
so another weird thing I like, roller derby.
I've actually watched that before, and I found it really. It's like hockey to me. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know several of the local girls and the Knoxville girls, and they're awesome. They are amazing ladies, and yes, any of you could kick my ass, and I know that. So I will not make you.
I
mad.
actually went on a date with a roller derby girl once.
They're great.
Didn't know until on the date. Yeah, but pretty much like I used to work at Dunkin' Donuts, and every time like this older than me female would come in, I was like maybe 21, 22. This chick was like my age now, and like every time she'd come in, I'd hit it up. Like I'd hit on her, make her smile. Usually that's what I'm trying to do anyway. I'm just trying to make people fucking laugh. And one day, like I'm doing the same thing to her. And my manager comes over to the line, and it's just like, I'll give you $20 if you ask for that girl's number. Because, I was very shy and stuff back then. And I was just like, wow, I'm a Dunkin' Donuts worker. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts employee. $20 off the cuff is a lot of money for me right now.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and I was way more shy and everything. Even like before like all this, like everything, like I was at my most shy when I was like 22, 23.
Of course.
So I was like, can I get your number pretty much? Because I was so nervous. Like I used to stutter a lot when I would get, especially talking to girls. So that's why like my relation game was like really weak, like growing up pretty much. But also I was on a lot of medication that completely exited my sex
I wish
life.
more guys understood just be yourself.
Oh yeah, I've definitely
and be
grown into
honest.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say that because a lot of girls play games.
Yeah,
and I don't get that either. So yeah. But I mean, I don't know. There's cons have done a lot for me.
It totally worked. We went on 3 dates. Nice dates.
So yeah, but I mean, cons like like I've seen you grow over a year. I've seen you really, really blossom more than a year, actually.
I appreciate that.
But I understand that because cons did so much for me because I was not a geek. I was not a nerd. I did not have any strong fandoms, like whatever my brother was into, like I knew about it and I go along with it and stuff. But I went to cons and there were parties, Yay, nobody carded you back then. I mean, how many people can say things like, they got to drink with Darth Vader, David Prowse.
You got to drink with David Prowse?
Yeah.
How the fuck do I not know about this until just now?
I don't know.
Jeez.
I got to meet my first crush. Richard Hatch was my first crush.
Richard Hatch, all right.
He was Battlestar Galactica. He was Apollo. My brother watched it, and my 3-year-old self was like, well, he's too old. I can't marry him, so I'll marry him, the kid that played his son. Happened to also be a never-ending story. So, I met Richard Hatch when I was like 16. And he's like asking me for directions on where to find something at Dragon Con. And I'm like, I'll just take you. So we're in the elevator. It's me, him, and his agent. And I was like, you were my first crush. And so I tell him the story. And he was like, well, how old are you now? I'm like, 16. He's like, you can still marry him. But it was really cool. I got to sit and talk with him and have real conversations. And it wasn't an abnormal thing to meet all these famous people. So, like, when he passed away, it was really hurtful, I really felt like I missed a piece of, something. But, there's so many opportunities, and it helps people in so many ways because you find a family, Like, there's 2 people from Dragon way back in the day that I lost touch with because it got so big. But, like, I still remember them. We call this one guy Puppy because of a specific shirt he was wearing when we met him. And it was, I don't even remember exactly, but it was something about, like, it had something to do with Satan and puppies. I don't know. But it was really funny. So we called him Puppy. And I mean, to this day, I miss him. We had so many Williams and Bills that we called this one guy Billy the Kid. That was his name. If you didn't say Billy the Kid, he didn't answer you. I miss him, We hung out for years. And there's so much that cons can give you. Work them or don't work them, But there's just so much that you don't get to experience that you would never know of. I've gotten to meet all my favorite artists. I got to hang out with game designers. I have Steve Jackson's phone number in my phone right now, which Steve Jackson is the game designer for Steve Jackson Games. I've gotten to meet, like, when White Wolf, before Wizards bought them, I got to hang out with them and do all this kind of stuff with them. I was named Changeling Girl for the longest. The designers, that's what they called me, was Changeling Girl. Because that was the one I was most into. There's just so much that it can bring to you and help you with. It helps you find your people. You asked me earlier, what's my fandom? I mean, like, it depends. Like, it kind of depends on my mood. Like, horror, 80s, all the way. I saw it on theater,
Yeah.
I got to see Lost Boys when it premiered in sneak preview before it released.
That is one, like, I would drive almost halfway across the country just for the chance to see Lost Boy on a big screen.
Oh, it was amazing. I got to go to 2
That's my
premieres.
favorite vampire movie.
Yeah, I got to go to 2 premieres before it ever opened. One of my best friends won tickets, and we went again.
Oh my god.
I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've seen Lost Boys, but that was one of Rob Lowe's. Wasn't that Rob Lowe?
No.
Was Rob Lowe in a vampire movie, or am I making shit up?
He did. He's had a couple.
Like in the early days.
Yeah, he had a movie, a horror movie, but I can't remember which one it was. And for some reason, Silver Bullet, which is a werewolf movie, keeps coming to mind, and I don't even know if he was in that one. But no, it was not. Kiefer Sutherland
Oh, they
was
looked
in it.
They looked a lot.
And well, that was the main vampire, and then the guy.
No, the main protagonist is who I'm thinking.
You're
about.
thinking of the older brother that got turned.
Yeah.
Or half turned. Looked. He had the haircut. He had the Rob Lowe haircut back then, but it wasn't. It had both the Coreys. It had Jamie Gertz. And which is funny, I follow her. Like, I still watch stuff she's in. Because I loved her in that movie. You know, like I said, I get attached to people.
I get attached to actresses. Like one of my first celebrity crushes, and I can never remember celebrities' names. I feel so fucking awful about it all the time. But it was the main chick from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Like yeah.
Now I've dropped her name. We've been drinking though.
Yeah, she was also in Blue Velvet, which is a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
She was in the 3rd season of Twin Peaks. Yeah.
So, but like Johnny Depp, I watched him in 21 Jump Street when it was first coming on TV. Like you said, I remember when Fox started. There were 3 networks till then. I watched him, and then when he came out Nightmare Before Elm Street, or Nightmare on Elm Street,
I thought that was his first role.
That was his first movie.
Oh, okay.
So we would play his death scene on rewind and just watch him over and over and over while he's laying on the bed, and they get sucked in, and then rewind it, and he's laying on the bed, he gets sucked in. We watched that over and over. The Halloweens and all that. I grew up with all that.
I'm so glad that all that Johnny Depp stuff wound up being bullshit.
I mean, see, I think they both did things. I think they're both at fault. But I think his daughter would have outed him a long time ago if it was as bad.
Yeah.
Do I think he's completely innocent? No.
No.
No one's completely innocent.
There's no such thing as complete innocence.
But, you got to look at what are they doing. Yeah. He does so much for kids in the hospital. He donates a lot to charities. Does it change my opinion of him? He's a human.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned from cons too. I got to meet all these famous people. They're human.
A lot of people, like, not like necessarily in the con scene, but like a lot of people like on the left side, they get mad at me because like I'm a huge stand-up comedian guy.
Right.
I'm also like a huge 70s, 80s like music person. I love music from those eras. So I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan.
Okay.
And people will give me shit because I listen to Michael Jackson, and I still listen to like Louis C.K.'s old stand-up bits and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, I was just like, they're terrible people for what they did. In some sense, Louis.
I mean, okay.
I wasn't surprised about Louis, is what I'll say.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm a huge Robin Williams fan.
Yeah.
My go-to thing, if I'm depressed, I watch one scene out of Popeye.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this because I totally read your comment when I was talking about it. Like, I love Robin Williams' stand-up too, but Robin Williams came from a time, like, a lot of people accuse him of joke stealing. And it's just like, that's just how the comedy scene was.
That's how it was back then.
Yeah.
And he also, like, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that he paid for a lot of that.
Yeah, he paid for a lot of that. Not only that, but he wrote material for other people.
Yeah, and then he would use it himself.
Because that's what comedians did back then.
Right. And, but nobody else does what he did. Nobody else has in his contract that you have to hire homeless people in your area and feed them, pay them.
Have you ever seen The Fisher King?
Yes.
It's my favorite Robin Williams movie. That movie is so fucking great.
So, he's the reason I'm an Alan Tudyk fan.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I watched Patch Adams with Alan Tudyk because of Robin Williams, and I've gotten to meet Alan, fell out of his chair because I asked him, how does Hitler say hello? That's his line in the movie, But, I mean, you got to remember, like, people were going off about the one Christmas song, Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
Look at when it was written. Look at what it meant then.
Uh-huh.
What it meant then is totally different than what it means today.
Yeah.
You can't judge things that way.
You can't judge things from the past by
today's
current standards.
You can't use the glasses from today to look at something from then.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at it from then. Robin was a genius. I don't care. Fight me on it.
You get a Robin Williams once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like,
And the fact that he was a good person along with it.
I mean, I grew up with because Robin Williams was a bunch of kids movies and stuff when I was growing up. So that was my first exposure to Robin Williams, was his acting. Flubber, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mine was his stand-up.
Aladdin, which that Aladdin put a sour taste in Robin Williams' mouth because of what Disney did to him. Because Robin Williams literally thought that the movie looked so good on its own without the fact that they had Robin Williams in it, that he's like, I want this movie to survive on its own because I think it can. I don't want to be put in the trailers or anything like that, and then first trailer came out, big words, Robin Williams,
right?
Yeah,
and that's why he pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
But then, because it did stand on its own, he came back for the third. Mm-hmm. They delayed it for a year so that he could revoice the genie.
Really?
Because it was done. It was done and going out. And he was like, I'll do the genie if you want. And so it got delayed for a year so he could do it for the third one.
I actually have the Diamond Edition of Aladdin because it comes with almost 2 hours of extra Robin Williams commentary sometimes. We should watch it sometime.
Yeah.
You would get a really big kick out of it.
I mean, it's stuff like that.
The first time I watched one of his stand-ups, I was just like, dude, this dude's on another... And for everyone listening out there, he didn't steal jokes like Carlos Mencia stole jokes.
Right.
Carlos Mencia, all he did was steal jokes. And he never compensated people for what they did.
He would go record it and then memorize it and give it as his own.
Yeah.
And then deny that somebody else did it first.
Yeah, that's one of the big reasons why I love Joe Rogan so much, is because he called him out on that bullshit and called him out hard.
Yeah.
Carlos Mencia isn't even Mexican? You know that? Mm-hmm. He faked it for his stage performance.
Mm-hmm. Because he was tan.
Yeah, which I found fucked up beyond belief when I found that out. And yeah, Joe Rogan literally called him out on stage at an open mic in front of that. He said his real white boy name and everything. I was dying.
Yeah, I saw that. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but there's people that they don't get their credit together. I mean, did Robin have the same jokes as other people? Yeah.
Yeah.
But he either paid for them or he wrote them.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was. And you didn't credit each other back then.
Yeah.
Stand-up
comedy back then isn't what it is today. Mm-mm. By any means.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But he's probably the one famous person I never got to meet that I love.
Yeah, the one I didn't want to bring him up on the show because I knew that so many people in Metrotham would come at me for it. But one of my favorite, he is the reason why I think so much of the way that I think, and that's Bill Maher.
Okay, yeah.
Especially I think he is getting a little George Carlin did in his later years. He's becoming kind of a little much about some of the things. But Religulous was and still is one of my favorite documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think he's fed up and he's over it, and he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to argue with you anymore. This is how it is. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
And I get that. He's tired of it.
Yeah, because he's been doing this show for...
Yeah.
And people want me to hold him to standards and stuff. What he says, he's just you're literally asking me to hold a comedian to higher standards than my president, and I'm not willing to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not gonna fight my point. Go back and watch it. I already have. He's like, I'm not repeating myself, and I get that.
Yeah.
He's blue in the face. Go back and watch his old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I grew up when Eddie Murphy would never have been hired by Disney.
Yeah.
Look at him now. He's a big Disney icon. Yeah.
Well, just look at all the things that have changed, especially clean comedy. The best person for clean comedy ever, Bill Cosby. Which
I know.
Which I want to say something. I never liked Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby as my parents used to, not my parents, but yes, my parents, my grandparents used to think it was hilarious because whenever they put the Cosby Show on and Bill Cosby would come on, it would literally scare the shit out of me.
Well, the funny thing is did you ever read his books that do his live acts or see one of his live acts? He wasn't clean comedy. He cussed and everything else. He talked about how his dad fucking beat their asses.
Yeah.
He wasn't clean comedy like everybody thought he was.
Yeah.
Go to one of his stand up. I guarantee you, go pull up an old stand up, and he's cussing all through it.
Yeah.
That's the only clean comedy act there was Sinbad.
Yeah.
And that's what he was known for. And yeah, Bill Cosby was like, I'll support you. I'll bring you up because you're doing clean comedy. That's not how Bill Cosby got his start.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And I loved Dave Chappelle's view on it. It's just like, he goes like, people ask me how I feel about Bill Cosby. He's like, I'm fucked up about Bill Cosby and stuff like that. He goes like, I love Bill Cosby. He's one of the main reasons why I started doing what I do. He's like, all right, just think of it this way. Think about you really like chocolate ice cream. Like you love chocolate ice cream. And you wake up one day to realize that chocolate ice cream has raped 54 people. Yeah.
I
understand, like, because, like, even though I wasn't a fan of him, like I understand why people are, like, sad about it and stuff like that.
Because it ruined an icon for them.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, though, is, like, with all that, I say this a lot, too. When you people are 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
So when you don't correct a behavior, they will continue to do it and escalate it. So when he got told, oh, it's okay, because he's not the one that covered it up.
Other people covered it up.
Right. And everybody that told him it was okay, the people that did not put a stop to it right then and there, they are as much at fault. When you have anybody, if you have a 2-year-old, if there's not a consequence for an action, they are going to repeat it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what adults do too. That's just, it's human nature.
Yeah.
You have to think of people like that. And if you don't give them a consequence and you don't give them, that's how bad friendships happen. When you let them get by with it for so long, they're going to keep doing that and get worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's that 2-year-old mentality that we never lose. We all do it, but some of us do it to a bigger extreme.
If you can get away with something, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do that thing.
Right. Yeah. And if you didn't get in trouble for it, you're going to do it again. Especially if you got caught and didn't get in trouble. You're going to do it again because it's okay.
Yeah.
So
how do you, like, feel about, like, modern day, like, cancel culture and stuff like that?
It has its good and its bad.
Yeah.
A lot of it I think is kind of stupid, but at the same token, it's holding things like corporations accountable.
Yeah.
Which needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And even like with the whole Karen thing. Now, if you I want to talk to your manager, oh, you're a Karen.
Yeah.
That's not it. Their customer service is customer service. Mm-hmm. Are our customers always right? No. But are you always right? No. And in some cases, you need to complain to a manager. Well, now you're shamed for it.
Yeah.
Now if you make a mistake, you're shamed for it and you're put out of business. In some cases, yeah, it needed to happen.
Yeah.
The lady in Central Park?
Absolutely.
150%. Yes. Why? Because because he was black, even though he's highly esteemed in his field, very well educated, she said, he's black, so I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie and I'm going to get him arrested. That's fucked up.
Yeah, for real.
But, some of the stuff, I personally do not spend my money at Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A because they support certain things I don't. My money is not going to support that.
A lot of Chick-fil-A stopped with this.
They have not stopped. They are still donating money. I feel bad.
Someone told me that they had changed their ways.
They have not.
I stopped eating them for years.
I even had a friend that worked at Hobby Lobby, and she needed birth control for a medical reason.
Yeah, because birth control is not
just for birth
preventing
control.
pregnancy.
She needed it for a medical reason, and they told her if they even found out she was taking it, she would be fired.
Like, literally, I dated a girl for like 11 months and we never had sex. Like, she wanted to wait until marriage and that was cool with me and I enjoyed her time.
Yeah.
But she was on birth control.
There are so many reasons.
So many reasons that it's not... I wouldn't know what I'm talking about. So
yeah, I mean, it can regulate hormones. It can help with like severe...
She said it helped with the cramps.
Right. Yeah. And there's, like, I had a best friend growing up. She would literally be bedbound for 3 days because she would hurt so bad. Birth control made it so she could get up and move.
Yeah.
If you have endometriosis, there's just tons and tons of things. That doesn't mean you're having sex. Yeah. And this girl, I was her pharmacy tech as well. She generally needed it for a medical reason. And they said, if we even find out you're taking it, you're fired. How is that okay?
Yeah, I remember one time, like, me and her, like, even went to her pharmacy, and, like, she was just like, oh, I'm out of birth control. We didn't think anything of it, because, you know, like, I knew it was for a medical reason for her. Yeah. Like, I wasn't just like, oh, birth control, you know? But, like, dude, like, when we came in, as soon as we said birth control, like, we get, like, everybody was just, like, looking at us. Yeah. They were just like, oh, we know what you guys are about to do. It's just like, yeah, we're about to go watch Harry Potter.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but, like, the cancel, like I said, it's got its good and its bad. Yeah. I think a lot of people abuse it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, it can do so much good. You know, it holds corporations accountable.
Holds people accountable, too.
Yes, people, but mostly the corporations. Yeah. If you're racist, I have the right to know that because I have the right to know if I want to support you or not. Yeah. It's just like there was a big thing about Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah. He publicly made a statement years ago that he thought it was great that his clothing was so popular with the black culture, and they were supporting the KKK by buying his stuff. Yet, even though that came out publicly, they were still buying it.
I never...
Oh, yeah. They still... Big into the KKK.
Do they still do shit like that?
He is still... Yeah. I mean...
Have you ever read about the Coors family? About the, like, family that owns Coors Light? I don't know if I've told you about this podcast, but I listened to a podcast. Like, I started listening to it around, like, 8 months ago. And it's called The Dollop. And it's done between two comedians, and it's an American history podcast, and they just take like really fucked up things from our history and just like tell a story about it, pretty much, like a historical story about it. And one of them tells a story, and one of them reacts to it, and that's pretty much how it's done. Okay. I think you would love it. Yeah.
I'll have to actually get into it because I've just really started doing podcasts. I fought it for so long. I didn't want to do podcasts.
I was the same way like 3 years ago. I was just like, a podcast? That sounds fucking stupid. That sounds like a waste of my time. I would just listen to an audiobook. And then, like, I got into Joe Rogan. I got into What the Fuck with Mark Maron.
Yeah. And, I mean, so I'm slowly getting into the podcast.
Do you know who Mark Maron is?
Yes. Yeah. Because I have a 20-something-year-old son.
Yeah. 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 I think you would also, like, not all of his stuff, but I think you would like What the Fuck, too. It's called WTF.
Yeah. Actually, I saw one of those. Yeah. So yeah, but you know, it's abused. The cancel culture thing is abused. That's probably my biggest take on it. It can do so much good, and people abuse it, just like everything else in America.
Mm-hmm. Like pretty much like with the cancel culture and everything, especially in the dating scene, it's gotten to like. Where, like, and I think we should be. I think men should be, like, more nervous and stuff about what they do and everything like that.
I would be scared to death if I was a guy wanting to date somebody. Because the girls nowadays want to call you out on everything that you do in a negative way. You know, there are some people that are flirty, but they don't mean anything by it. There's people that are touchy-feely. They don't mean anything by it. You know, like, I kept reaching over to you. That, if you were a guy, if you had done that to me, and I mean, I wouldn't, but, you know, a girl would have been like, you're harassing me. Yeah. I would be terrified to date a girl in today's age. But there again, you have other things like guys that think it's their right. But that's something girls have always dealt with, like the Harvard student. We won't even really get into that.
Oh, fuck that dude.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened to him. He didn't even serve his 6 months because that 20 minutes shouldn't, or 10 minutes or whatever, shouldn't ruin his life. What about her?
That dude should get just popped in the mouth every day for the rest of his life.
No, I have other things I think he should be done, but we won't go into that because it's very, very violent.
Fuck that rich prick. But anyway.
So yeah, but I mean,
I'll even say it. Fuck you, Evan Brock. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think he should have a 10-minute every week. I think it should ruin his life like he ruined hers.
Mm-hmm.
He
definitely serve jail time, prison time even, but he won't. And that's like the weird thing about me. It's just like I came up from a very underpoverished family. Like they were used to like low poverty. They came from like the lowest poverty parts of America, Kilburn, Louisiana, and Eudora, Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
So like I grew up around that. So and I saw down there like because like it's not talked about in mainstream media, but there's still segregation.
Oh yeah.
There's still towns where like if you're white, you don't want to be in that town at night. If you're black and you're in the white part of town, you don't want to be in that part of town at night.
There's a phrase for it, and one of my friends recently asked on Facebook, do you know what, and I can't remember the term, but it's basically like a dark city or something like that.
Sundown town?
Sundown town.
Yeah.
That's it.
They were really big like back in the 40s and 50s, and it was actually law that if you were in a sundown town or sundown county, and if you were black, you would be hanged.
Yeah, but they're still around. I had never heard of that till I moved to Chattanooga.
Uh-huh.
And the funny thing is like when I first moved here, on my mom's side, I have some cousins that live on Sand Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone to see them, and they're like, we have to leave right now. You have to be off the mountain before sundown.
Yeah.
Because you're not white. You have to be off the mountain. That was in the 90s, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There
was a famous black political leader that got assassinated in the town that I was born in, Greenwood, Mississippi, and the assassination, the dude who did it, he moved from Greenwood, Mississippi to Chattanooga on top of one of the mountains to escape prosecution. Yeah. But he actually did get persecuted 5 years ago.
Good.
I'm pretty sure he's in prison and he deserves to be there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why it makes a difference.
I don't understand how a certain group of people can do something and they get like life in prison, and someone can do the
something so much worse,
or even the same exact thing and get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, but that's part of that. I don't like the word privilege, but that's what the term is, know. But it's funny when you go other places in the world, they don't ask you what's your race.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a friend that he moved here and he's from Haiti.
In America, that's like all that like the media and stuff wants you to identify yourself.
Your race, but he's from Haiti.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, are you white? Are you black? Are you, what are you? And he was so confused because nowhere else in the world do people ask that. They'll ask you, what country are you from?
Mm-hmm.
Only Americans care about what race you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing is, what religion are you? Why does it matter? Are you a good person? That's what the question should be.
Yeah.
Do you do community service? Ask the questions that matter. Yeah. What do you do to contribute to society? Those things matter. And it hurts me that that's not what matters in America. I do a lot for charities. I work with special need kids. Up until this COVID thing, I never had a free night.
Yeah.
Because, I do as much as I can to give back. That's how I was raised. That has nothing to do with religion or anything else, but my culture is you give to your community. And yes, it is a Latino culture, but there's a lot of that in Texas, you give to your community. That's why the zoo didn't charge, those that could afford made sure that it was available.
Yeah, that's like one thing I really, because I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I wasn't a part of a military family, but my parents they refused for me to grow up in an area that they grew up in. So they constantly worked, they constantly moved up to try to make a better life than what they were used to. And they did. Like being raised in Chattanooga, being under like all the other minds, being exposed to all the way that people think, definitely made me who I am. And I wouldn't be who I am if my parents hadn't made that sacrifice.
Yeah.
But, you know, they don't think like I do, and it drives them crazy. And I don't think like them, and it drives them crazy.
Right.
But now like there'll always be, because like, you know, I go down there every once in a while to like visit family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of visit my roots and stuff like that. And it's always so weird because I'm literally like around people who I share blood with, and I'm just like, I have never felt like more out of place than I do now.
And I mean, like, I'm kind of the black sheep of my family because I've always spoke. Like, I had one uncle that I was literally told, do not open your mouth in front of him.
Yeah.
Like, just do not speak in front of him. And that was the rule growing up, because I don't censor what I didn't used to censor, what came out of my mouth. And I get that. And I never meant it in a disrespectful way. My grandparents never said anything about it, you know. But no matter how out there any of us get, my family is still there. Like, they never made me feel weird or unwelcome. And like, I kind of grew up the opposite way. Like, I knew my grandparents came from nothing. Like I said, American dream. Came from nothing. Came over here with a second grade education. I'm second generation American. And their rule, my grandmother's rule was, this is your family and you love them no matter what. Mm-hmm. And my junior high, growing up, before I moved up here, across the street was nothing but mansions. So I had a lot of friends with a lot of money, but we also had friends that didn't have money, and we never made it matter. Like, if we all wanted to go to Astroworld for the weekend, our parents took turns buying all of our tickets. You know, my dad often would go pick up 10 tickets, you know, and we paid for our friends that couldn't afford their tickets. It didn't matter, you know. Our parents would pick us up from Astroworld, take us to get food. And I'm not talking about like fast food. Like, we hit like Steak and Ale and Red Lobster and stuff like that. And then they would drop us back off at the park. And they had no problems including everybody in that. If they were my friend, they were loved. Like my grandmother said, you know, if one of us, the grandchildren, wanted to bring somebody home to my grandparents, our parents weren't allowed to tell us no, and our uncles and aunts had to open arms. Mm-hmm. You accept them because they were important enough that they wanted to bring them here.
Yeah, like my grandparents were a lot like that too, but as soon as like my grandparents died, and it's not like, to me, like my family, the people in my family that I don't like, you know, I don't like you. I've made it painfully obvious, especially to some of the people. I won't name them, but like I had a cousin who tried to support the whole Shelbyville shit when they were like protesting with Nazi flags and stuff like that with tiki torches, and like I stood up against him, and he called me a disgrace toward the family name, and I was just like, he said that I would be an embarrassment to my grandfather, and I was like, first of all, if I ever see you again, it's going down. Yeah, I'm gonna beat your ass in front of your kids, mm-hmm. and I'm going to enjoy it. I was like, just know that. And two,
I love that.
You're dead to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want it. I was like, your dad's still cool, your brother's still cool, you're dead to me.
See, like, I have one cousin that we fought all the time growing up. Mm-hmm. But to this day, if someone else were to do something, I would have her back. Mm-hmm. You know? My favorite cousin, the one I'm closest with, she voted for Trump. She's Mexican and she voted for Trump. But that's her choice, and we've talked about it. And I'm like, I've told her these are the things I had to experience because of that, you know. And she's like, it's not like that here. I'm like, yeah, but it is in other places because of it, And even her dad was like, I need to disown you, jokingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have to approve, but we still have to support.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do with you guys. I don't have to approve because I'm not gonna approve of some things.
Yeah.
But we got to support each other.
Yeah,
and we need to do it as a community.
Yeah, and I love like Metrotham because and like I said, it's not I can have conversations with people in my family. It's not a lot, but there are people that I can literally talk to, and yes, they came up from different situations than me, but we can still have a conversation and still love each other.
Right.
And but like that was like the one thing with Metrotham where I was just finally like because especially like around family and around like my closer friends that I've kind of let go of in the past year and stuff like that. But like I was always trying to be something that people wanted me to be.
You wanted to be approved of.
Yeah. And then like Metrotham showed me that to do that, I just need to be myself.
Right.
Pretty much.
And that's what my grandparents taught me. My grandparents taught me that it didn't matter what, they were going to love me anyways. Mm-hmm. And I took that to heart. And when I take a lesson to heart, I'm all in. So, like when I say I care about you guys, I mean I care about you guys. You are my family now. And I do love you guys, and you guys matter to me. And I want to share the little things with you guys as well, because it's an unconditional love and an unconditional support. You don't have to agree to things,
Yeah, you don't have to, like, that's the thing. You don't have to agree with someone all the time to love that person.
Right.
To care for that person. And I think a lot of people, like especially people in relationships, even if you're in a relationship, my favorite thing about the relationship that I just got out of is me and her knew each other for almost 5.5 years. Like, we started off, just simple things, and we were just like, well, let's see if we're actually compatible enough to date. But the thing was, even like when we spent the 2 weeks together, we never lost ourselves in each other.
Right.
She was her and I was me. And a lot of couples today don't do that.
They do the Julia Roberts thing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite eggs? Whatever his are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, like, and now I've gotten to the point where, like, since I've been in a relationship like that, I'm not going to settle for anything else.
Yeah. Why should you? Because here's the thing. You have to be able to go and do your own things to enjoy each other, Mm-hmm. And if you do everything together, you're going to get sick of each other. And then what do you have to talk about?
Yeah.
In 15 years, when you're still together, you don't go do your own things. What are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
I can't tell you about my day. You were there.
Like, she was completely, like, opposite of me. Like, we met while she was going to Vanderbilt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was never a discussion who the smart one was in the relationship, okay, folks? But, like, that was the thing, but, like, I was the funny guy in our relationship. I was the funny boyfriend. I was also the boyfriend that could cook, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to have to see that soon.
See that soon?
Yeah.
My cooking skills?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've heard you brought food, and I've never gotten any, guys. Never.
No. People seem to really like my cheesecake, and it's like 4 fucking ingredients. It's weird.
Just can't cook with onions or turkey.
Onions or turkey? No onions or turkey?
No onions
I don't like onions, so yeah. And turkey is pretty rare, so.
I'm allergic to onions, the oil in onions. I know it's a weird allergy. And I'm allergic to sedatives, like we talked about. Well, there's tryptophan in turkey.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm actually allergic to mayonnaise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm allergic to one of the preservatives, and when I ingest it, I get itchy whoops all over my skin, and also it causes me to have explosive diarrhea.
All right. Yeah. So hives is the key thing there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. It really sucks, though, because I'm going to tell you, like, I can't eat things. Like, I have to be careful with, like, hot dogs.
Oh, yeah, because...
I have to be,
Turkey and
onions, turkey and onions and everything. Try going out to eat.
Yeah, I can't eat sauces. I can't eat... 90% of sauces I can't eat.
Because of mayonnaise, yeah.
Mayonnaise-based, yeah.
So.
I can eat aiolis. I can eat house-made stuff. I just can't eat.
Okay, so you can do okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't do something that's like sold in the store as mayonnaise because it's a preservative.
Yeah.
That's in mayonnaise and in other things. Because like I was never really like a condiment guy in the first place. I just did ketchup and that was like my thing. So like found out that I can't do mustard recently because preservative. And yeah, I think that's it. I can't do mayonnaise or mustard. Yeah.
See, when you say like condiments, my head goes salsa, jalapenos, lime, all those things. Those are condiments to me.
No, this is like these are the white boy condiments.
Okay. So yeah, but I mean, like that's something else I miss though. Because we used to have a monthly meeting, and we would all get together
and just talk.
Yeah, I mean, we would do our business, and then we would just be that community, and I miss that.
Yeah, and like. Probably like the one time like I tested the waters the most is at our Christmas party.
That was great.
And we were playing a Cards Against Humanity, and it was Robert's turn. And I remember what the card said, and I remember my answer, and I do not take it back. Just because of the spirit of the game. We're playing Cards Against Humanity.
Right. It's supposed to be sick and twisted.
I was supposed to be as offensive as possible to Robert. That was my goal. And her card was his. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry, Robert.
We love you. You know that.
I love you so much, Robert. Bear with me. I'm trying. Please.
He's had a lot to drink.
But, yeah, his card was no romantic candlelit evening is complete without blank. And my answer was heteronormity.
My favorite moment for when that was we were doing the Dirty Santa. And
I was number one.
No, I was.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Because Mark said, okay, here's the rules. Whoever gets one goes last. And we counted backwards.
Oh, no, I was last.
I was last.
No, like, I chose the last number, so I was first.
Well, you got 12. Because there were 12 of us, I believe. Yeah. I got 1. And Dustin was over there going, oh, I hope she gets 1. I hope she gets 1. I was like, I do too. And I got 1. And Dustin was so heartbroken that I was going to get to be the last person to go.
So we all knew what everyone was going for.
The Ichigo sword.
So that's why I chose it the first time. I was like, okay, I'm not even going to...
And I was just like...
pretend like this isn't the one that everybody wants.
I had just gotten the costume for Zach. And that's the only piece missing. I mean, I even have both the mask and... I mean, I went all out on his costume. Let me just tell you.
Do you like Bleach?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, Bleach was the shit. Especially back in the day.
Love Bleach. But yeah, so he's missing the sword. So I was like, sorry.
Like, yeah, you're not keeping this one.
You didn't have it, though. Because somebody had taken it from you already.
I believe it was... I always call him Nightwing.
Yeah, Sia the one that took it from you.
No, Nightwing.
It wasn't Chris.
It wasn't Chris?
No, it wasn't Chris.
Sorry, Chris. I just always call you Nightwing.
He's okay with it.
Yeah, I think you're okay
Christopher.
with being called Nightwing.
He actually doesn't like Chris, and that's my bad habit, and I apologize.
Oh, Christopher?
Yes.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
Like, people... Have I ever told you the story about when I tried to go by my middle name when I moved to Nashville?
No. Oh, yeah, we did talk about that.
So, do you know the story of, like, how I have, like, and counting, like, 45 nicknames, right?
I feel you.
I've literally been hanging out with, like, people for years, and, like, Brian will literally call me by one of my different nicknames, and the person who I've been hanging out with years is like, wait a minute, that's you this entire time? Like, and so, like, so when I moved to Nashville, I didn't think it would be a big thing, so I wanted to, like, I just don't like the name Justin.
And I feel you.
There's too many of them. Most of the time, Justins are assholes, so...
I'll tell you my name story when you're done, but yeah.
I'm a rare exception.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so when I moved there, I was just like, I'm going to go by my middle name. My middle name is Hugh. H-U-G-H.
Right.
And, I would introduce it to people myself that way and everything like that. And Brian and all my other friends thought it was, like, the weirdest fucking thing. And, like, they were like, dude, you can't just go by a different name. I'm like, Brian, why the fuck do you care? You haven't called me Justin in almost 10 years. You either call me by my last name or you call me by one of my 15 other nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, he was just like, dude, you can't choose your own nickname. I'm like, it's not a goddamn nickname. It's on my birth certificate. It is my name. And like, we went through this and through this and through this and through this. And I was just like, fine, fuck it. I'm Justin. I'm Justin forever. Fuck it. Have your way. Have your way. Have your way. I'm tired of having this argument.
With me, I have one name on my birth certificate. And then I have a different middle name on my christening. Your baptism.
Yeah.
That's a legal document. And that's one way that families could give you extra names.
Yeah.
So I technically have two middle names. So Misty is my first name.
Okay.
Almost no one calls me that other than family.
Mm-hmm.
Here is why.
It fucked me up for a while in our chat. I didn't know who Misty was for a while talking.
So
I was always looking for Cat. They were like, I'm like,
and that's why it says Misty Cat.
And then like, yeah, but I'm a fucking idiot. They didn't read the middle part.
So, well, here's my thing. I'm a Southerner.
Yeah.
I know how to pronounce T.
Yeah.
My first name is not Miss D. There
Miss
is
D.
no D in my fucking name.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, dude, I got more for you with this one.
My Northerner friends call me Mist.
Mist.
Fine with that. I move here and it's even worse. There is no D. It is Misty. Fucking hate that.
Yeah.
My second middle name is Cat, and that's because it was on my christening, my baptism. Nobody knows where that came from. Nobody.
Okay.
Even my parents are like, no, we didn't, but it's there, so I got to use it. Now legally, my middle name is Gutierrez because I made my maiden name my middle name on my Social Security card.
My mom did the same thing because she hated her middle name.
Yeah, I won't even tell you what one of the middle names is.
My mom's name before she got married was Penny Latrice Smith.
See, that rolls.
Yeah.
Mine was so freaking weird, especially when you add on. I won't tell you one of them. But come on, Misty Gutierrez.
Misty Gutierrez.
I mean, how Southern and Hispanic can you get?
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. I like Gutierrez. It sounds like really official.
I love how you say that. Okay, so we.
Am I saying it weird?
Yeah, you can't roll your R's, which is okay. Yeah. We Americanized it, so Gutierrez. If you can say terrace, you can say it. And that's the other thing. I move here, and all of a sudden, my name becomes Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
Where is a D? There is no D.
It's like I had similar things with growing up with my last name. I'm Hodgkins.
Right.
Everybody calls me Hodgkins. Going to school, people would call me fucking Hopkins all the time. I'm like, where is there a goddamn P in my name? Where? Right. Where?
It's so annoying.
I'm like, you're an adult. This is a type of cancer. How can you not say this shit?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, which, I mean, I can't really, like when I first moved here and I was telling my friends, I'm moving to Chattanooga, people were like, I thought that was a train, not a city. And then people said, I thought it was just a song. Because they've never, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
You know what, like, the biggest disrespect that MCU has ever done to anybody? Iron Man 3, when Iron Man goes to Chattanooga, when Tony Stark goes to Chattanooga.
Yes.
Like, I was just like, I feel so disrespected right now.
That was funny.
I was like, that's not even Chattanooga. Like, I would know if it was Chattanooga. I was like,
well, there's a Chattanooga, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh, I almost fucked up coming back from Chicago. Did anybody else know there's a Nashville, Kansas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got on the Nashville, Kansas exit. Was driving because my ex was taking a nap, and like she woke up and like she recognized the sign. She was like, "Where are we?" And I was like, "We're heading back to Nashville." And she was like, "Oh no." And she was just like, "You didn't take the Nashville exit before the city, did you? Like before the next city? I can't remember what city we were coming out." I was like, yeah, but it's Nashville. And she was like, Justin, there are multiple Nashvilles throughout the country. I'm like, how have I never fucking heard this? How have I never heard this?
Sister cities.
Yeah.
Sister cities. Yeah.
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 And I'm just like,
see, I never had that issue. I grew up in Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, Houston's everywhere.
It takes 2 hours to get across town. You know, I mean...
Yeah, for real. But yeah, that was an embarrassing part. I think the most embarrassed I've ever been on a date was when I was going to go see Alan Jackson live with one of my exes and her family at Riverbend. Alan Jackson, he's where I come from.
Oh, it's country, that's why.
Cornbread and chicken. That one.
Really?
Yeah, that shit.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Didn't he do the "I'm Proud to Be an American" song? Mark, didn't Alan Jackson do the "I'm Proud to Be an American" song? No. No. All right. Well, I don't do it either. My ex and her family was really into it, and I was like trying to like sound like I knew what the fuck I was talking about, fresh out of high school. Yeah, fresh out of high school, shit like that. And so I get there and they're talking to me about Alan Jackson, and they're talking to me about country music. And I swear to Christ, the story is true. This is not me over embellishing anything. They're like, yeah, so Justin, you excited to see Alan Jackson tonight? I'm like, yeah, I'm super excited. Didn't you used to be a part of the Jackson 5?
I love it. I know. Okay, so my friends took me to karaoke when I was here. Like, I was old enough to go to the bars. And
by the way, Alan Jackson was not part of the Jackson 5. I learned that night.
Yeah, but...
among other things.
So I'm looking for a song to sing. And I'm flipping. And I don't know any of these songs because they're all country. And I'm like, why are there like 4 pages of the Judds? Who is this? Never heard of them. They explain it to me. And I keep flipping and flipping. I get to the back and I'm like, who the hell is this Wyona chick? Because there's like 4 pages of her. They're like, she's half of the Judds. I'm like, oh, oops. Okay. I've met country singers. I had no clue who they were. And like said stuff.
I want to give a special shout out to Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood's one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life.
I met her.
She actually was a sort of regular at the grocery store I worked for in Nashville. She actually knew me. She took the time to learn me by first name basis.
And see, I've heard that about her, and I've heard really good things. I'm going to be honest, I figured out who Faith Hill was because she did something that impressed me. She was doing a photo shoot and had on this, $100,000 dress or whatever. Her kids were there. They wanted to play with her when she went on a break. And they were like, oh, no, you can't sit down. And she was like, I'll buy the dress. Sat down on the floor to play with her kids.
Oh, my, that's amazing. That's like, a good mom right there.
Right. I'm like, okay, you got a fan now. I don't know any song you've done, but you got a fan. Stuff like that. It's like I mean,
I do like country music. I just don't like stadium country. I like old country music. I like Johnny Cash. I like Hank Williams Jr.
Okay. Yeah. I'm from Texas. I know who Willie Nelson is. There are certain people you know of. Yeah. So they're like, you know who Johnny Cash is. I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, okay, close your eyes. And I close my eyes. Okay, now see Willie up on stage? Yeah, I can see him. See that man dressed in all black next to him? Yeah.
That's Johnny Cash.
That's right. And I was like, oh, okay.
Johnny Cash is just like, he's pretty much like, especially if you grew up like deep south like me, like before I moved to Ringgold, that's pretty much like some of the first music you're exposed to.
Well, see, to me, Johnny's one of Willie's smoking buddies.
Yeah.
Because we all know Willie's a big old stoner.
Yeah.
But he's a Willie Nelson, but we don't consider Willie Nelson country. Mm-hmm. I don't. He's like a Texas, just like ZZ Top. Yeah. Everybody in Texas knows ZZ Top because that's where they're from. There's just certain things. Willie's not country.
There's like a lot of arguments to say that Cash isn't country, but no, to me, like he was just like the epitome of country music. He's pretty much like him, Hank Williams Jr., Charlie Daniels.
I know those two.
Yeah,
I've listened to those two. I actually went to one of Hank's birthday parties one year. I got invited.
What?
Yeah.
Did you get to meet him?
Yeah.
How was he as a person?
Sweetest old man.
Sweetest old
man. And I knew who he was, and I even told him, I don't like country music, but I appreciate your music. Mm-hmm. But they're one of my friends had an invite to his birthday party, and I was the +1. Yeah, I mean, there's certain ones, like I've met a few country artists here and there. Travis, whatever, I've met him.
Do you know the last song that Johnny Cash ever recorded was?
No.
He did a cover of 9 Inch Nails' "Hurt."
Oh, I've heard that. I didn't realize it was the last.
And he actually recorded it, and I'm pretty sure like a month and a half later passed away.
Oh.
And they actually had it at the MTV Music Awards.
Yeah.
Like it was Song of the Year, and it was between him and I want to say it was between Justin Timberlake, like Cry Me a River or something like that.
Oh.
And Justin Timberlake won, and when he accepted his award, he's like, "This is a fucking disgrace." He was like, "I shouldn't be up here accepting this award right now."
Well,
it's like this goes to one of the artists that inspired me.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just like, what's his name? Garth Brooks. He doesn't listen to country music. He's a Kiss fan.
Yeah.
He listens to heavy metal.
I'm not a big fan of Garth.
Well,
yeah.
I've met him, and he's like, I sing country because that's what my voice sounds good for.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But, it's like, I don't know.
Music to me has to have a soul.
Yeah. Yes and no, because I like a lot of EDM.
I mean, even EDM can have soul.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Old school trance all the way.
Yeah.
I love old school trance, but I like EDM because that's what
Is Daft Punk considered EDM or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've kind of branched a little bit away from it, but that's what I like to dance to. That's where my happy place is dancing to EDM. I love happy hardcore. I love old school trance. I'm not big into house. I'm not big into drum and bass. Sorry, guys. That's just not what speaks to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I used to throw raves. So, of course I'm into it. That's part of my fandom is that part of music. I love 80s music. I grew up with it. Some 90s is good. I mean, and I listen to current stuff too, but my favorite music is EDM, and probably some of my favorite pieces are classical pieces that are done that way.
A lot of people would tell you that my favorite form of music is just like alternative rock, but I wouldn't really say that I have a favorite. It's just whatever like mood. I have different like moods.
My absolute favorites change on my mood. Yes.
Yeah. Like if I'm in a really depressed mood, you're gonna listen to stuff like Mountain Goats, stuff like Cash. Just like old, soulful, teary-eyed music.
I mean, that's like, I used to go to all the Warped Tours. Mm-hmm. I used to, I've been to Burning Man.
I also got to see my favorite, but I do have a favorite band, and I actually have gotten to see them live, so that was great.
The coolest thing I ever got to do was introduce my son to his favorite band.
Really?
Dragon Con. I'm friends with Rope from Cruise Shadows. And I was like, I have a favor, because I always took care of his pixies. They have fairies that come to their shows. They come from all over the world, and I always took care of them for him because he always requested for me to work his door. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I have a favor. They have one song, Happy Birthday. That's all, gothed and punked out and everything. And I was like, will you dedicate that to my son? It is his 16th birthday. And he was like, sure, I'll do that for you. No, he gets my kid on stage. And he has the whole audience sing Happy Birthday. He's like, I just ruined my whole reputation for you. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But that was my son's favorite band. He had no clue that I knew them. No clue. He's like, okay, so you just got coolest mom for life. Because, it's just one of those things. And, again, a con experience that I never would have gotten to give my son, and he kind of grew up going, but he didn't. Like, kid programming used to be my hotel room with a Sony PlayStation and pizza.
Nice.
And the teenagers would hang out in there.
And that was like back in the day that were all you need for the fucking kids,
Yeah.
Like I probably shouldn't say this, but my parents won't get in trouble for it anymore. But I started getting left at the house alone when I was like 9, just because I was so.
That wasn't unusual in the 80s.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
70s and 80s, you always left.
But like that's like unheard of now. Like,
yeah,
I've heard of people that like won't leave their like 14 or 15-year-olds at the house by themselves and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's just like.
My parents never knew where we were. We were on our bikes and gone.
My parents always knew where I was.
They knew we were in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, we came home when it was dark. You know,
My parents literally, like, my first cell phone I ever got was like one of those ones that you bought the minutes for, you know? And it was like, you only contact us. And I was just like, it was one of those things. Yeah, I know.
We didn't have beepers. We didn't
Yeah.
have, you know. I remember the first phones in the car, and they were literally connected by a cord.
That's still so crazy to me.
And they were this freaking big.
Yeah,
they were a brick.
They came off the, like, you could throw it at someone and kill them.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm old though. We talked about that. We already know I'm old.
Yeah, I love that. Not like just like the aesthetically everything. My favorite like generation like of America is like the 40s and like aesthetically wise, like the 40s and the 50s. Like that's where you'll find my heart.
I love the look of the 20s.
20s
and the
is good
30s
too.
because the style, they had style down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, love that look. You know,
plus my grandfather fought in World War II, so
mine did too.
I just like knew a lot. I know a lot about like for some reason I know a lot about the 30s and 40s that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I have weird information about that time because I have a lot of like Mexican history in mind.
For real.
You know, it's like I know the story of how my family, like part of my family, migrated to the Chicago area, and that was back during the Mexican-American War. You know, Lopez and Garcias are part of in the Chicago area. They're part of my family. Yeah, you know, I've never met any of them, but they're like distant relatives now.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, like. History's a weird thing because especially when you hear it from somebody that was there, it brings it to life.
For sure.
Yeah.
For real. I think like one of my favorite talk show moments ever. This was like back when talk shows just became a thing, when TV wasn't just in black and white. It might have been a radio show too, but they actually interviewed someone who was in the theater when Abraham Lincoln got shot and killed.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Because one thing, like my ex's family was really freaked out about like how into like the mob culture I was into. Like,
okay.
Because I know a lot about Al Capone. Al Capone, as much of a monster as he was, he's a personal hero of mine. I know it's that's fucked up.
He was a smart man, though.
Yeah, he was a smart man. A lot of people don't know this, but the reason why you have expiration dates on your food is through a company that Al Capone started.
That makes sense.
To launder money.
Yeah.
And the whole reason he started it was because he didn't like the idea of children getting sick off spoiled milk.
Do you know the Al Capone story here in Chattanooga?
What?
So one of our historic buildings, the Pickle Barrel, now, it's always been a restaurant. When he was going to court for tax evasion, he went to court here in Chattanooga.
What?
And he went to what is now the Pickle Barrel every day for lunch and had a steak.
That's fucking incredible. I never knew that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kat, I think we've been going at this for a while.
We have, and our drinks are empty.
Our drinks. Cheers to you, Kat.
This was
Thanks
fun.
for being so sweet.
Yes.
We should do this again in the future for sure.
Yeah, oh, definitely. There's so much we can do and talk about. But I do want to end on the family aspect that we have. Guys, just check us out. You know, no other con is going out of their way to make sure you have content, to make sure that we're staying engaged, you know, and giving back to the community.
To bring content even during lockdowns.
Yeah.
Quarantines.
And you know, we do this because we love each other and we love you guys. I mean, we have a general love out there for everybody, and we're all inclusive because of that. So, you know, just check us out, keep up with us, and give us feedback. You know, tell us what you like and don't like, because trust me, we read it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
I actually just got into the habit because here's the thing about me. I really hate the sound of my own voice.
Me too.
So,
oh my gosh, because I sound so much better in my head.
Going back and watching my live videos and listening to the podcast and stuff like that, and doing audio recordings of my stand up. I've actually started listening to myself because people told me to, people within the cons and friends and stuff that were listening. And I have taken feedback. But god damn it, it's so fucking brutal to listen to myself.
Oh, yeah, because I'm like, my voice is so annoying. Why don't you tell me to shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I
yeah.
sound so fucking pitchy and shit like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I asked the question the other day. I said, do you ever wonder what people sound like to themselves?
I sound a lot deeper to myself.
My voice is so much richer. It's not, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah. I think your voice is fine.
Oh no, I hate it.
Yeah.
In my head, it sounds so much better.
But I completely get you.
Yeah.
Like, you probably don't think that my voice is, like, that bad at all.
No, I think you have a really rich timbre, which is nice. So, yeah. But yeah, I said that the other day. I said, have you ever wondered what people sound like to themselves? I want to hear that at some point.
Yeah, for real. Like, I imagine that I wouldn't say like a Johnny Cash deep voice, but like it's definitely deeper than what I hear, and I'm just like, you know what? It's no wonder that I've been set on 3 blind dates with dudes. All right,
that's great.
And that's real. Great. We'll have to talk about that next time.
Yes,
for sure.
That's
a hilarious story for me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. All right. Well, thank you for having me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we have ran out of alcohol.
Oh yeah, can't wait for next time. It was delicious though.
You've been listening to Metrotham Uncensored with host Justin Hodgkins. Subscribe to our podcast and tune in weekly on Apple or Spotify. Live long and prosper.